In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
What's happening, guys? What's going on? Another day, another dollar to be made. What's happening? I appreciate you guys for joining me. It is 14 June 2026, and we have a boatload of stuff to talk about today, including not limited to the Make America Green Again campaign, apparently, that Donald Trump's on, as we are now, celebrating this ridiculousness of our mentally ill leader right now. His what could be possibly his last birthday, apparently. But before we get into a little bit of the craziness we'll be talking about, what do you say we bring in the chat? Because we got a lot of stories to talk about, a lot of time it's going to take. But you guys deserve some time, too. What's happening, everybody? What's up, Dame Dog? What's going on, brother? What's up, Gamer? What's up, DPD? What's up, Yakov? Hope you're feeling better, brother. What's up, Tiff? As always, thank you for everything. What's up, Namaste? BJ, I see you over there on Twitch. What's going on, everybody, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Substack, the whole 9 yards. Make sure you hit that like button because we're going to be talking about all the craziness. What's up, Wes? What's up, Robin? How are you? What's up, Susie? Good to see you. What's up, Corrine, Patui? Marshmallow over there on Twitch. Thank you guys so much. Barnacle Bill, what's happening, brother? How are you? What's happening, Roxanne? Olga, thanks, guys. As you guys filter in, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. My name's Brian. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast. Thank you for either stumbling upon this podcast or coming here directly and purposefully. I really do appreciate it. There's a few different ways in which you can help this independent channel. There's a Venmo up here in the corner. If you do find yourself liking what you're seeing, liking what you're hearing, and you find some quarters within those couch cushions, send them on in. All we ask for is a buck or two. Anything above and beyond that's totally 100% up to your financial capabilities. If you think we're worth more than that, then God bless you. Very much appreciated. You can also sign up for a YouTube membership just underneath me. You can head over to Patreon at patreon.com/BostonBrian. You can grab some great merch at the merch site. But again, we have no sponsors. We've never talked to somebody that's trying to sell you anything through this channel. Nobody that's trying to sway my opinions, beliefs, or anything that we talk about. And I hope to continue doing that with your help and with your support of this channel. So thank you for, again, getting us past 20,000 subscribers. And let's get on to that push towards 25,000 subscribers. So thank you guys, everybody in the chat that helped us get there. And, of course, everybody watching later as well. But, all right, a couple of the stories we'll be getting into today, because there's a ton of them, obviously. There is a ton of them. So we're going to talk about, like I said, the Make America Green Again campaign and the reflecting pool disaster. After $14 million spent, it went from blue to green in about 13 and a half seconds, I'd say. Maybe 14 seconds, I'd give it. And then I want to talk about, obviously, the UFC sideshow at the White House and how a movie from 20 years ago pretty accurately depicted the reality that we now find ourselves in. This 250th celebration that seems more like a vanity project for, again, our mentally ill leader there, our mentally ill president. So we'll be talking about that. We have Simon Marks of LBC kind of giving us a recap of Donald Trump's failures this week. So I figured that would be good to catch up on. We also have Donald Trump posting about peace, but also threatening more war today as we were awaiting some sort of peace deal. For the last thing that I saw before coming live, I hadn't seen anything that was done. In fact, I've seen the opposite as Benjamin Netanyahu again has launched attacks into Beirut, which we've talked about this time and time again, was a line in the sand, a red line drawn by the Iranians. And we have some statements by the Iranians that pretty much say that the negotiations are off. Donald Trump seems to think that they're still on. We'll go over all of it, and you guys can come to your own conclusions and see what you guys think about what's going on, because we have some ITV news footage of the devastation in Lebanon as well. It's not from the most recent strikes today, but it does accurately depict kind of the destruction campaign that the Israeli military has been on, much like they were in Gaza and continue to be in Gaza as well. We also have Ukrainian drone strikes ripping through different targets in Russia. We have some pretty substantial footage coming from a strike in Russia, so we'll be taking a look at all that, all of the news, the footage, the updates coming from that, more updates on Russian losses as well. And then some strikes into Ukraine we have to talk about, as we continuously do. We're going to bring you the good and the bad on this channel. We're going to be talking about how Musk continues to stoke chaos around the world as he becomes the world's first trillionaire. So we have a video here from Jonathan Pye, aka Tom Walker. Again, we've looked at him before. We've taken a look at a couple of his videos as he rips into Elon Musk for not only his ridiculous net wealth right now, but also the way in which he kind of utilizes that and wields it or doesn't in a lot of cases. And then we have, like I said, Israel launching some attacks in Beirut on the day that Donald Trump said the deal is supposed to be signed, pretty much detailing what we've told you time and time again. Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't want peace, and he will do anything to stop this agreement from happening. He will do anything he can to not only remain in power in Israel, but also stop Iran from becoming more powerful inevitably because of whatever deal Donald Trump is ready or not ready to sign behind the scenes. So multiple reasons in which he's launching these attacks, and he's done it time and time again to stick his fucking foot. And again, any I don't even know what you say, progress or lack thereof that is being made. I know we've heard about 39 to 40 different times about, a peace deal being right around the corner. This time it seemed like there were a lot more people, a little bit more optimistic, let's just say, about this happening. But again, that seems to be shot down. And if you guys could keep me up to speed and up to date of anything breaking, like I said, I checked right before I came on and tried to bring you guys the latest news that I could. But all right, let's dive into what we've been starting off with for the last few shows, and we will continue to start off with, let me throw this on the screen, because you guys, again, have made a substantial push overnight to get us towards our goal here of sending the 3rd Operational Battalion Artillery Platoon, their vehicle, their NAFO vehicle. And again, I can't thank you enough. We're up to 56% of the way already, which is crazy because I think we're still under 2 weeks. I think this campaign still less than 2 weeks old. So we get the Summer of Drones, 87 separate donations totaling 11,515 euros. So thank you guys so much. I think that's above and beyond 13,000, if I'm not mistaken. So again, big shout out to you guys. A big thank you, a big congratulations. But let's not rest on our laurels here. Let's continue to push, keep sharing it out, keep telling people about it. And like I said, hopefully we'll get the opportunity to hand this vehicle over. You can head over to Help 99. That is the website, and hopefully that link will be in the chat frequently there by the mods. And again, it's in conjunction with the NAFO boys, 69 Sniffering Brigade. You might have seen them around your social media feeds. A lot of people with the fella, if you've seen the FELLA, typically means they're in some way associated or affiliated with the, again, the NAFO people and the 69 Sniffering Brigade. But you can go to Help 99, gives you all the information, what the goal is, how much you can raise, where it goes. Again, you can go to Help 99, and I think they've said as of June, they've raised over 23 million euro. I mean, so we're talking about a very substantial contribution to the war effort here. And again, it's all because of your generosity and your passion to continue fighting for issues just like this. So again, a big thank you for participating, everybody, in the Summer of Drone. Let's see if there's anybody else on the wall here. So Vasil, thank you so much. Olena, Gregory, Artur, the whole team. So again, just because your name isn't on the wall doesn't mean you don't deserve thanks. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that I do appreciate the way that you guys have helped this small channel here on YouTube substantially contribute to the war effort, especially here in the Help 99 with the NAFO Sniffing Brigade, 69 Sniffing Brigade boys. So very honored and privileged to be a part of it, and it's only because of the community that we've built here. So again, big pat on the back for you guys. Big round of applause. W's in the chat for the chat. So thank you very, very much. But all right, let's get into a little bit of the craziness and the nonsense. Because like I said, on the day where we were awaiting this 39th iteration of a peace deal that was supposed to come, there was a little bit more talk, kind of seeming like this was more likely to happen than there was in the other 38, 39 different times. I will stipulate that much. But when you wake up to things like this, it's not surprising that you may not get a deal signed. Not that there was ever going to be one. So, you know what I mean? But when you wake up to Netanyahu, and again, this was posted 5 hours ago, says, we attack Dahia in Beirut targets of the terror organization Hezbollah. Israel will not tolerate fire into its territory. And again, he posted that along with some footage to substantiate the claims. But you would think that on a day when a peace deal would be signed, that he's supposed to be respecting whatever ridiculous, excuse for a ceasefire remains in place for however many hours it's been in place. You now wake up, like I said, to things like this, and Benjamin Netanyahu just throwing a big old fucking tree branch into the spokes of your bicycle, making you go head over fucking heels over the handlebars and making it very difficult for any peace to actually fucking happen, which is exactly what he meant to do. And again, this is just the short 6-second clip that he posted to kind of substantiate his claims here of these strikes in Dahia. So again, a propaganda war-style video akin to the ones that the White House put out there with the strike targets and the music behind it. There's a couple other posts here. Apocalyptic scenes in Lebanon's capital right now. Israel's bombing residential buildings in densely populated neighborhoods of Beirut. A ceasefire that still allows bombs to fall on civilians is not a ceasefire. And again, that puts it extremely mildly. But like I said, we're just going to take a look at all the footage and the news and the updates coming from all of these stories. So again, here's a 20-second clip of some of the destruction seen here.
الضرب يا اختي هي هون هي انا بالشقه بعد البنايه عم تولع عم بشيلوا العالم يا الله يا الله ما يكون في حدا صاير له شيء يا رب.
So I mean, clear indication that peace is not an option in the mind of Benjamin Netanyahu. And it goes on here because it even forced Donald Trump to respond to this on his Truth Social account. This is posted by the Kobisi letter. I think I have this pulled up somewhere else, but we might as well get through this here because he says this morning's attacks on Beirut, and again, this is Trump on Truth Social. This morning's attack on Beirut should not have happened, particularly on a special day when we are so close to a peace deal with Iran. Israel has the right to defend itself against threats, but the attack it was responding to was very small and meaningless. Nobody was hurt, injured, or killed, and should not disrupt this important process. We are very close to a deal that will bring peace to the region, including to Lebanon. And all sides should stand down. There should be no more attacks by Israel anywhere in Lebanon, and there should also be no more attacks by any other party, including Hezbollah, against Israel. This could be the beginning of a long, beautiful peace. Let's not blow it. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Yada, 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 as said time and time again. So it doesn't seem like this is the fury in fire, as was reported by multiple outlets from a phone call between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. You would think if, Donald Trump felt that he had control and command over Benjamin Netanyahu, he would use that control and command, use that leverage, use that alpha man power that he supposedly got, wielding over the head of Benjamin Netanyahu. If you listen to all of the, the MAGA acolytes that stipulate that, no, it's not Netanyahu that's making Donald Trump jump through hoops and utilizing his fucking decrepit mentality to get done what he wants to see get done. It's the other way around. Donald Trump's the command and controller of this situation. But you can see here that he's kind of mildly asking for Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel to again stop their attacks, stop their bombing. And like I said, this is OSINT Defender posting Netanyahu's post there, as you can see. So most people there just kind of reposting that. But there was also this. Let me show this on here too, because this is, like I said, I had Trump's post here. But this is the originator. This was, I believe, from last night. Yeah, this was 6/13, 11:45 a.m. AM, it says here. But this was what originally was posted by Donald Trump in hopes of somehow getting a deal done, but also still threatening more action, more war if apparently, the deal isn't done. So it's like, again, the ridiculousness of also trying to call them stupid and call them weak and call them bad negotiators while saying we got a peace deal coming any day now, while also saying we have a peace deal coming any day now, while Israel is bombing Lebanon consistently. I mean, the whole thing is just utterly insane at this point. But just to read to you what he posted on his True Social post, he said, and he starts this with going after Barack Obama somehow, talking about the deal, of course, again, and he's going to sign an even worse deal, and he's going to afford Iran more prestige, more power and respect on the international stage than anything the JCPOA did. But again, he starts off by saying Barack Hussein Obama's deal with Iran, the JCPOA, which I can guarantee you, if you ask Donald Trump to name him what the JCPOA actually stands for, he could not pull that out of his ass. Absolutely not would he be able to tell you what those initials stands for, what that actually stands for, right? And now that I say it, am I forgetting what the A is? The Joint Comprehensive Plan of, is it action? Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action? That makes sense, right? For some reason, I was tripping over it myself. I can't make fun of him if I don't know it myself, for crying out loud. But I think we got there in the end. But it was an easy, beautiful, smooth road to a nuclear weapon, which it wasn't, which Iran would have had 6 years ago and would have used long before now. My agreement with Iran is the exact opposite, a wall to no nuclear weapon. In fact, they no longer want a nuclear weapon, which, again, I've seen nothing stipulated by the Iranian side that said, no, we absolutely don't want one. We've talked about, maybe some talks going on in the future. You agree to this, and within 60 days, we'll be able to maybe, batten down the hatches on some agreements as per the enriched uranium. I've seen nothing to stipulate that they've said that directly. But he says here the deal is scheduled to get signed tomorrow, and immediately after it's signed, the Hormuz Strait is open to all, which again, it's not, right? It said within 30 days per the text released by the Iranian side. Even the blockade by the United States would be in place. It would have to be removed within 30 days. So it wouldn't be, right away by any stretch of the imagination. But he says our relationship with Iran is a much different and better one than the previous administrations have had. He says time and time again, he doesn't know who he's talking to. He doesn't know who he's negotiating with. He doesn't know who's actually in charge. So how can he tell right now that they have a better relationship? And what is the likelihood, right, guys? What is the likelihood that the relationship, again, as we've talked about, is going to be better when you've killed the father of what we believe is the current leader of the country, right? We've gone in and committed war crimes. We've killed school children. We've taken out God knows how much infrastructure, right? Caused God knows how much damage to their country right now. And you think we're going to have a good relationship? You think things are going to be like hunky-dory going forward? I got a bridge to sell you if you believe that. It says, unlike Obama's hundreds of billions of dollars in payments to them, including $1.7 billion in green, cold cash, no money will exchange hands. Now, let's remember that. Because that flies directly in the face of what we heard from the release text by the Iranians, right? Not only was it roughly 30 billion, I think they stipulated, what was it, $24 billion in frozen assets, somewhere in the region of $300 billion in damages occurred throughout this war. So to say that no money will exchange hands, much like J.D. Vance said the other day, no cash will exchange hands. Okay, so what is Qatar? Are they going to hand over something? Are you guys going to create this Middle East fund? It's not direct cash being handed over, but it is, $300-400 billion being set aside for their direct use, right? So whatever the hell bullshit name you put on it, you can listen here, but just recall where he says no money will exchange hands, because he says in this next one, let me go on to the next one. He says, at the appropriate time when all is calm, we will go in and get the nuclear dust buried deep under the powerful sunken granite mountains, thanks to our beautiful B-2 bombers and their brilliant pilots, and downblend and destroy it, whether in Iran or the United States. We look forward to working with Iran in the entire Middle East long into the future. Hopefully this process will all work out quickly, easily, and smoothly. If it doesn't, we will have the ultimate alternative, hopefully never to be used again. Thank you for your attention, yada, yada, yada. Some are suspecting that is a threat of using a nuclear weapon, right? Where he says, if it doesn't, we may have the ultimate alternative, hopefully never to be used again. So it's very vague, kind of a threat there, a very veiled kind of threat that he's proposed if, again, this deal doesn't get done. But, it seemed like Benjamin Netanyahu saw this or understood this and said, you know what, I want to be there. I want to be the one to make sure that this deal doesn't get done, because any peace deal done with Iran goes directly to hurt Bibi's chances of staying in power or evading his prosecution for corruption in his own country, or, again, evading prosecution for the international warrants that he's got on his name for being a war criminal, like those types of things. He wants to stay out of that type of trouble. But let me see here. There was another one that I want to show because it led to this. This was posted by Midas Touch about 3 hours ago. It says, Iranian professor Saeed Mohammed Marandi, who is closely linked to the Iranian regime, says, quote, there will be no more negotiations for now. So I don't know if that is in direct response to the Israeli attacks in Beirut. I don't know if that is just because even before today, there was word from the Iranians that no deal would be signed, right? As much as Donald Trump was telling people it's going to be signed on my birthday, I want it signed on my birthday like a fucking petulant child. The Iranians were time and time again saying that nothing was finalized, nothing was agreed to, and to say that anything's going to be signed on Sunday is pretty much ridiculous, right? There was a couple out there saying that some of the points have been agreed upon, but nothing's been finalized. So there's been absolutely no final date set yet. And let's not forget that this is like a memorandum of understanding that we're attempting to get, not a finalized peace deal in and of itself. So the wordplay and the way they're trying to trick you into believing that opening the Strait of Hormuz would somehow give us, the United States, a victory, when that wasn't a problem before we started this war. So we've now solved the fucking problem that we created ourselves. So what was the ultimate goal of the war? Because as far as I've seen, the Iranians have only said that they're willing to talk, and if some funds are immediately sent over, and then within the next few months, within the next several months, they'll be able to stipulate and talk about the enriched uranium and what could happen with it. I haven't seen anything saying that, yeah, you can come take it, you can come dig it up. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But I haven't seen it as much as I've been covering this situation. But this is how crazy the reporting is on this, because just under the Midas Touch reporting of Syed Mohammed Marandi saying there will be no more negotiations, this is being reported. Here's OSINT Defender, and I believe this is by Reuters. Yeah, by Reuters. It says, an Iranian official has spoken to Reuters regarding the potential interim deal with the United States, indicating some of what has been agreed to, including fully opening the Strait of Hormuz immediately, the U.S. to lift naval blockade within 30 days. So again, not right away. No new sanctions imposed while negotiations continue. The U.S. will suspend current sanctions, allowing Iranian oil to be openly sold. $25 billion in Iranian assets to be unfrozen, including direct cash transfers. So what did Donald Trump say? Hold on. Just to reiterate, what did he say? No money will exchange hands was his direct quote. Let me throw this back on the screen. You can see just at the bottom. Unlike Obama's hundreds of billions of dollars, right? Hundreds of billions of dollars in payments to them, including $1.7 billion in green cash. Where he's getting this hundreds of billions of dollars from is fucking beyond me. That's a new one. That's actually a new talking point thrown onto the $1.7 billion talking point that they don't truly understand when it comes down to it. So that now he's trying to insulate himself now from the amount of money that is guaranteed almost now at this point to be handed over to Iran. So that's why he's throwing that hundreds of billions of dollars in there. But he says directly he says cold cash, no money will exchange hands. No money. Zero money will exchange hands. JD Vance, no cash will exchange hands. So, I mean, does that really line up to what we're seeing here per the Reuters reporting? I mean, I can only go off of what is being reported, right? Because there's no direct sheet, there's no picture of the deal or the memorandum of understanding to say, okay, this is exactly what it says. We're just going off of, kind of bluster or bravado in reporting at this time. But, it says here $25 billion in Iranian assets to be unfrozen, including direct cash transfers. I mean, seems to be pretty specific in the way that it stipulates cash transfers directly to the Iranians. I'm just saying. Formation of an economic development and reconstruction plan. Iran agrees it will neither produce nor acquire nuclear weapons. Wink, wink, right? I mean, because why would the Iranians trust Donald Trump at this point? And then why would they hold true to their word when the United States hasn't done so? While what's it say? We're having trouble streaming to Facebook. This may be an issue. Why all of a sudden would Facebook decide to kick me off? Hold on. Give me a second while I try to mitigate that problem for a second. I'll remove it and then put it back in, I guess. And I'm talking to myself because that has nothing to do with what you guys can see or know about. But yeah, let me see if that happens. Let me throw it back in there. Save changes. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't like me covering this sort of stuff on Facebook. I could be wrong, but it's giving me the green check mark back up on Facebook. So my apologies, guys. Sorry about that. I don't know what the little bug was about, but we're back up and running as the computer is telling me. Where did we leave off? Iran agrees it will neither produce nor acquire nuclear weapons. Like I said, why either side would trust the other side at this point is you're going to have to explain that to me. Fate of the nuclear program, including stockpile of highly enriched uranium, to be negotiated and finalized within 60 days. Right. So does that sound like, yes, they're agreeing to let us come dig it up? They're letting the United States come take it out, and they could either destroy it in Iran or in the United States. That's not what I'm seeing. And again, this is just per the Reuters reporting. Full sanction relief following a final agreement in 60 days. So that was that one. Like I said, it's tough to dig through and sift through the truth or get to the truth, through all the different types of reporting, the different spokespeople and Iranian officials and White House officials. And then what the White House officials are saying doesn't match up to what Donald Trump's saying. It's crazy. But like I said, I'll try to keep my one eye on the chat today in case you guys see if anything happens, if there's any breaking news. I'm not really expecting anything to happen per what I've already seen reported. I mean, and scenes like this, right? I mean, probably, a dark but appropriate segue into this video. This was from ITV News. This is from 12 June 2026, so 2 days ago. It's labeled here, in southern Lebanon, entire villages are being destroyed by the Israeli Defense Forces as they claim to be targeting Hezbollah. So I just wanted to kind of dive into this. I think it's about a 3-minute just kind of rehashing, recap and general news report of what's been taking place in case people aren't aware of the levels of destruction. I know you've heard it been reported. You may even seen some, 5 or 10 or 20-second clips here and there. But, to the levels of which it represents or kind of looks like Gaza, I'll say, is kind of mind-blowing, and it seems to be the same plan in place, right? It's the same tactics in place that we saw in Gaza. We continue to see more and more encroachment into the West Bank, violence on the West Bank as well. But, just to kind of show you what we're dealing with time and time again, a great example being, Benjamin Netanyahu launching attacks today when supposedly a peace deal was supposed to be signed, goes to show you exactly what they want to see or what they don't want to see is more like it. But like I said, this is ITV News from 12 June 2026, just kind of recounting the entire villages in Lebanon being destroyed by the IDF. Let's see if I can play this. Appreciate you guys. If you could hit that like button. I know a lot of times YouTube and different platforms don't really necessarily like this type of coverage, like you guys reporting on this type of news. It doesn't really bode well for, let's just say the YouTube advertisers that I have no control over. So if you guys could boost this live, if you could share it out, if you could like it and obviously subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. I know a lot of the times we're kind of on the lower rungs of that because of the stuff that we cover, whether it be the war in Ukraine, what's going on here in Lebanon, the West Bank, obviously in Gaza. Again, it doesn't really lend itself to these platforms boosting you out there too greatly. So if you guys could help me with that, that would be fantastic. Again, my name is Brian. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast. Multiple ways in which you can contribute. Venmo up in the corner. YouTube memberships just underneath me. Patreon.com/Boston Brian. Thank you guys for getting me past 20,000 subscribers here. A huge achievement. Let's keep pushing. Let's get to 25. And let's see if we can check this out real quick. Like I said, entire villages in Lebanon being destroyed as IDF claims to target Hezbollah. And this is an ITV News reporting here. And let's dive into it.
What you are seeing are not airstrikes, not acts of war in the heat of battle. This is the deliberate, systematic destruction of whole Lebanese villages in the name of fighting Hezbollah. With each passing week, more and more of southern Lebanon is left looking like this, barely one brick on top of another. The white fence marks the border. On this side, pristine and untouched Israeli homes. What Israel has done in Gaza, it proudly says it is doing in Lebanon.
And he said, this is Israel's cats, as you can see, Israel's defense minister. And he says, all the homes, I believe, let me see, I'm not sure what exact town that he said, but close to the border will be demolished. According to the model of Beit Hanun and Rafah in the Gaza Strip.
This is as far south as we can safely go in Lebanon. Anything traveling further down this road is subject to and has been attacked by Israeli forces.
And that should be telling right there, right? The fact that a journalist, the fact that, somebody that's supposed to be reporting on this and giving you the facts and the news and the updates and letting the people of the world understand and see what's taking place, fears for his life so much that he can't travel down this road, not because of the war that's going on in general and getting caught up in the crossfire, but being directly attacked by the IDF, being directly targeted by the IDF, right? As they've done thousands of times before, right? I mean, it's unreal how it's a still unreported thing, right? The amount of journalists that have been killed, the fear that journalists still feel to be able to go and report directly on what's going on or taking place, either in the West Bank or in these parts of Lebanon here. So you can see how he's like, okay, I'm gonna stay at this point because we've seen time and time again Israeli forces and the IDF target innocent journalists, health service workers, whatever it may be, people not engaged in the war, not enemy combatants. So we like our lives, so we're not going to take it, we're not going to drive down that road. But it should tell you exactly what type of people that we're dealing with on the other side that would target journalists and continue to target journalists to the point where they fear for their lives, even just reporting on what's taken place.
Whatever the Israelis are doing down there, the world is not allowed to see, exactly as happened in Gaza. So the evidence we have is what we can collect from phone footage and eyewitness accounts. This is what is left of the village of Maiza Jabal. Not a house remained standing.
Everything related to the good old times was there.
Fatima Shaker's family home has been reduced to this.
They also destroyed the graves. Now we're not able to distinguish the graves. My grandpa, my grandma, my uncle, my aunt, we're not able to distinguish the exact spot.
Ludnan Balbaki is a principal conductor of the Lebanese Philharmonic Orchestra. This is what the Israeli army has done to the village where he grew up. His father, a leading artist, built this house, and his children turned it into a museum of their father's work. None of this has saved it from the demolition crews.
There were no fightings in the house or not in the area, so it was there were bombs put there, and then the explosion happened. There was a collection of at least 8,500 books in the house. A lot of paintings, his atelier.
These heartbreaking stories go on and on. This is Sarah Ismail in a selfie she took in front of her home before the war. Now a refugee in Beirut, the next time she saw her home was on a video sent to her phone, surrounded by Israeli troops.
These are Israeli soldiers approaching your house.
Yeah.
A satellite picture now reveals all that is left of her village of Beit Lif, a moonscape, the homes of 7,000 people, bulldozed out of existence, 7,000 stories, each as painful as Sarah's.
No houses are still standing, even the hospital, the school, and municipal buildings.
We have heard what has happened in the occupied areas of Gaza. Is it the same thing happening where you live?
Yes, as soon as this started, I asked myself, is there another Gaza happening here in Lebanon?
And again, it doesn't take much to see scenes like this and be able to visually compare it tactically, militarily, destructively to what's taking place in Gaza. I mean, any person that looks at this can see that they're utilizing the same types of military tactics, the same goals and intents that they had with Gaza, with the parts of Lebanon that they are attacking. It's pretty clear and for anybody to see if you just open your eyes and pay attention. So, but it's like I said, it's pretty clear to see to me that it is the clear intent and goal of Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel to make it impossible for this war to end, to make it impossible for a deal, any deal whatsoever, to be signed and they are not an ally. They are not working on or in favor or on behalf of the American people in conjunction with the Israelis. They're working just 100% on behalf of Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli people. They could give a fuck less about the care, the intent, the goodwill, anything about the American people. And we've seen that time and time again. Doesn't matter if, Trump swears at them. Doesn't matter if Trump puts it on Truth Social. Benjamin Netanyahu seems to be able to do anything that he wants without any, accountability, any pressure being put upon him, real pressure being put upon him by the president of the United States. And it's clear to see every single day that we now be told that we're now told that there's a peace deal coming. Every single time you see Benjamin Netanyahu stick his foot in the door and start lobbing missiles either into Iran or to Lebanon, to Gaza. It doesn't matter what ceasefire or war we're talking about. He's doing the same thing consistently. But all right, I digress. I appreciate you guys for sticking with me. And like I said, if you guys could boost the live, I've explained a lot of the times the powers that be don't like us talking about these types of things and don't reward us for those. So thank you to everybody in the chat that sends in a buck or two. Thank you so much to the people that have reached milestones. Thank you so much to the people utilizing the Venmo. I just want to make it clear that I really, really do appreciate your support in making this channel grow. Because it's certainly not going to help. It's certainly not going to grow with the help of the algorithm, I assure you. But all right, let's go into a little bit of the Make America Green Again campaign, apparently, which is this. I know you guys have obviously heard about the $14 million debacle that is the reflecting pool. And I think it was blue for about, like I said, 14, maybe 15 seconds. This is posted here, and we'll go through a couple posts and people that were, in and around the reflecting pool. And not only that, but some of the conspiracy theories now that are coming out about why this is happening. Because it's not just like maybe that you're pumping in seawater. Not seawater, but swamp water, right? It's not just the fact that it's like really hot and humid in the middle of DC. And it couldn't be any of those things. It's got to be something that like the liberals did. It's got to be some sort of Democrat hack, a Democrat ploy or plan. They must have dumped green algae into the fucking pool. I shit you not. That's actually one of the conspiracy theories actually floating around. But this says here, the pool underwent $14.2 million of overhaul at the direction of Donald Trump, including a dark American flag blue coating and nano bubble filtration to fix decades-old leaks ahead of the nation's 215th anniversary. Refilling began in early June 2026, but by June 10th, algae-coated parts of the surface at the bottom, which officials attributed to the dormant residue from the supply lines, paused for 8 weeks, which again, plausible, right at the beginning, as a plumber, ex-plumber, to have that shit built up in the pipes, especially if the pipes are sitting stagnant, and then when you turn the pipes on, that stuff comes rushing out. Plausible. But then again, if that was the problem, it would solve itself, right? You would immediately start seeing that subside. You would start seeing the clearer water come in where all of the stuff in the pipes was actually pushed out. But that's not what we're seeing. It's actually getting 10 times worse as it was. So people were starting to notice a little bit of algae forming. Now all of a sudden it's like the river in Chicago during St. Patrick's Day. Okay, this bitch is green. And then it goes on. Let me see if it talks about crews are vacuuming it up, confident the new system will keep it clear long term despite the pool's history of similar problems from past renovations. Maybe this isn't like a good idea to just hire a company that worked on some of your fucking pools that you really lavish estates to bring them in to start working on historic, national monuments and stuff. I don't know. It's just maybe you'd want the most capable, right? I thought we were working as far as like people that were, I don't know, what do you call it? Where they do it based off of merit, a meritocracy. That's the word that I'm looking for. I thought that's what they wanted to see, but apparently not. Apparently it's a nepotocracy. It's who you know, not what you know. But this is posted by Kraz here. This is not a joke. This is actually the reflecting pool in Washington, D.C. today. Donald Trump wasted $10 million of our money on this. No wonder why he bankrupted multiple casinos, yada, yada, yada. But there's a little bit of footage here just showing. Oh, hold on. Let me make it bigger on the screen. We'll just play this. Like I said, a lot of people kind of taking footage as they're passing it. So there's a bunch of these clips to go through.
And then the algae stuff builds up so quick, especially on these hot and humid days, you guys. But I got to tell you, before this was done, it was so bad. It was so bad before this was done.
I love this. She's still coping. Can you hear the cope? Like you can almost smell the cope coming through this woman's fucking video here as she's trying to be like, well, look at how bad this is, but it was worse before. You know what I mean? Like this is bad, but the 14 million apparently limited the algae just a couple percentage bits. You know what I mean? Just a little bit. It must have taken out like, I don't know, 2 scoops of algae apparently with the 14 million. But she's still talking about how it was worse before while reporting on how bad it is right now.
It was not getting cleaned. They weren't cleaning it properly in the wintertime like they used to.
There was leaks and there was fucking seasonal issues that they dealt with periodically because of, again, the weather, the seasons and stuff. And yes, of course, the substantial leaks that everybody knows about. But I don't know to what extent it looked like that. You know, I'm not a resident of DC. I don't frequent DC very often, but I don't know. I don't recall too many pictures of it looking that bad or that green, right? I mean, maybe at times, maybe because of, like I said, specific conditions, but not like 37 seconds after a $14 million renovation. I don't know. Like I said, maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. You never know.
And it was a toxic mess before, so they're gonna figure this out.
I mean, it looks like something the fucking like the turtles in the half shell. Looks like Master Splinter's gonna come crawling out of that shit, right? You know, looks like the ooze in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and she's talking about how filthy it was beforehand. Like, am I missing something?
But it looks beautiful with the reflection.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. The cope. Give me more. Give me more.
Absolutely gorgeous.
If you hold your nose and you don't mind the smell and you don't mind the green tint to the Lincoln Memorial and all that shit, like if you don't mind that, you can really enjoy the reflection that has not done, it's not done any favors by the fact that it's green. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a reason in which, and in a way in which it gets that like reflective qualities. And I don't know if it's like covered in algae and being a huge green pond is one way in which to get that effect.
And it had to happen. It was leaking. All of that
had to happen. We had to turn it shit green. We did. We had to make it look like a big diarrhea pond of a little kid.
The algae blooms and the goose poop and everything.
Yeah.
It was leaking through the stones into the ground and then into the Potomac River eventually. So it had to be done. It absolutely
did. It absolutely had to be done. That, don't forget about like, giving like homeless people shelter, and forget about like access to health care for American people and all of the other, forget about like prioritization. Like, I understand the beautification of the country and the beautification of the national monuments, but, I would rather this country being celebrated during its 250th anniversary for like the quality of life that it's given its people, right? Or for, let's just aim for having the lowest amount of dollars spent per day for your daily life. Like, you know what I mean? Like those things, like the easiest access to healthcare, right? The best union setup, the best high-speed rail. How about all of those things? The best access to equality and people getting to marry who they want to fucking marry. Regardless of what state they live in. People and women getting to choose what happens with their body, regardless of what state they live in, right? Like all of those things. Less gun violence, less kids being killed in schools. Like I wish that's what we could be celebrating and not some fucking sweaty, bloody fight on the fucking front steps of the White House. You know what I mean? It's crazy to me that that's like how what we're prioritizing. It's like, in ancient Rome when they just kind of threw bread at the peasants and gave them a circus to watch in hopes that they wouldn't revolt. Like type of shit. And I feel like, they're going to be people there just clapping like seals, getting the fucking bread being tossed at them, watching this shit, not recognizing that like the National Guard and the military in general is being used as a prop, but not respected. Like, again, we'll go over a couple clips of some of the debauchery taking place on behalf and set up by the federal government of the United States of America. But I'm sure you've seen a couple of the clips too. But there's more of this to go through. Let me just see. There was a couple more people that noticed this. This says 14 million beautification. Just 3 days later, it looked worse than ever because there was a reason we didn't paint the reflecting pool dark colors like the American flag blue, mainly that it would raise the water temperature and cause rapid algae growth. I mean, who could have seen that coming, right? I mean, it's just crazy how science, in fact, does take place like that. And let me show you this one because this was fucking awesome. This was beautiful, because it can't be that Donald Trump is incompetent and that he hires incompetent people that aren't qualified for the work that they're going to be doing. That's not something that could be a possibility. Okay, we got to throw that out right away. Grant Stinchfield does have his tinfoil hat on, and he's got a theory, and he's asking people that don't want to talk to him all over the Trump the reflecting pool there, excuse me, but he's asking people that don't want to talk to him why they think it's so green, and if they think that the Democrats, you heard that right, Democrats and liberals maybe tainted the water, if there was something that was placed into this pool here to make it look like that and to make Donald Trump look bad. That's his latest conspiracy theory. And again, I shit you not. Here, take it away, Grant Stinchfield, because like I said, it can't just be that Donald Trump's incredibly incompetent and hires incompetent people to do work that they're not qualified to do, which we've seen time and time again. It's got to be some bigger national plan behind the scenes by the Democrats, possibly, maybe, kind of. But here he is.
Oh, man. Take a look at this. The reflecting pool's green.
It was supposed to be completely
black.
Green, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we just saw it like a week ago. It was like crystal clear blue.
All that, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
There's algae in here again. I feel like it's sabotage.
That wouldn't shock me either.
Why is it like this? Because it's gooey at the other end, and we walk this whole thing. We're like,
it was
there's
nice.
no.
I think that's what they were shooting for, ma'am. I think gooey was one of the descriptors, one of the adjectives, right, that they were shooting for. I think that was on the list of like, hey, guys, what do you want people that come here and see this after? What words would you like them to use to describe? I think gooey was tops on the list. I'm pretty sure. Let me know in the chat if I'm wrong, but I'm almost certain that gooey, green, diarrhea-like, stinky, I think those were the terms that they wanted to see. So I think it's I kind of hit the nail on the head, apparently, as for what Donald Trump's saying.
No way that something like this. And the very opposite side is the World War II memorial.
Even the fucking ducks in the background are swimming out of the goddamn thing. Look at them. They're like, let's get out of this. This thing's filthy.
Memorial. Right. The water's fine. Why is this? So something happened here.
I mean, they had just literally fixed this.
Obama spent $32 million and it never held water. Trump spends 14.
It never held. It was dry. It was bone dry, guys. I can't remember a time actually that I've seen that shown on the news that it actually had water in it. Right. I mean, we knew there were leaks, but you didn't know they were that bad, where it was bone dry 365 days out of the year, apparently, according to this guy.
Go crazy.
They're pumping something into this.
They're pumping something into this. He's looking at the fucking aeration. I believe that's aeration, right? And he's like, they must be pumping something into this. Like, we just leave the hoses, right? Like this Democrat plan. We just left the hoses in plain view with the fucking bubbles shooting up, like pumping shit in there that shouldn't be pumped in. That's like, come on. These people, they just can never point the finger in the right direction. It can just never be pure and utter incompetence and poorly done. And maybe a different crew should have done it, or maybe we should have waited a little bit and it wasn't really that high of a priority or high on the, that tops on the list of things that we needed to get done, right? I mean, most people wouldn't object to it, but do we have more important things we'd like to see done, right? Do the American people feel like their lives are being destroyed right now because of the economy that's not working for them, because of ever-increasing prices of fucking everything that you could possibly think of to live your daily life? I mean, I'm just saying, I think there's a couple things that we could think of where, $14 million, as small as that is, as chump change as that is in comparison to, the federal government's budget and overall amount of money that they spend. I'm sure there was some good that could have been done with that besides turning the fucking pool into a green shit stained fucking, tourist attraction. I'm just saying. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I don't know if it's air or what. And what a shame. Because in the end, after all the work that was done, look
at all the people. All of them are like, what is going on? It looks like shit. This guy's like, yeah, they can't believe it looks like shit either. Did you think? I thought it was blue. Did you think it was blue? Yeah, they said it was blue. Doesn't look blue to me. No, it's just, again, the whole ridiculousness of it is almost too much, where he's now talking about this huge conspiracy going on behind the scenes.
As proud as I was of President Trump for finally getting this thing fixed, we're back to green. And again, is it nefarious? I tend to think so. You wouldn't have so much algae that you see in here. You would not have that.
Couldn't be the dark blue mixing with the heat creating the algae like most people have suspected. I'm probably, I'm assuming with a higher education level than I do, or more knowledge on the science behind this. You know what I'm saying? So it seems to be what's taking place. I'm just going off of, what we're seeing with our own eyes seems to be, coming to fruition, what they predicted, what they suspected would happen if indeed you did change that color to that specific color that they were using. But I don't know, maybe they find a way around it. I'm just maybe saying some filtration, might have been the plan. But that's probably going to be a lot more expensive than just slapping some paint on the bottom of this thing. You can be assured. But this is just an attached kind of debacle and piece of chaos to go along with the rest of this. For some reason, there are now people on the right calling this a disaster for the left. The fact that eagles are flying on the White House lawn, and motorcycles are doing backflips, and again, like I said, the National Guard and the military are being used as props. I think they're surprised that people actually showed up. Like, we didn't already suspect that there were like a bunch of chuds out there that would love to see this shit, right? Of course, we knew that they still exist out there. But, for some reason, Jack Posobiec and the rest of the people on the right think this is like some disaster, right? And I think I left a comment on one. I'm like, why? Like, how is this in any way a disaster for the left? Like, if anything, it's embarrassing for the entire country. Right. I don't think the left in general feels that way. I think you could talk to people across the political spectrum that would share the embarrassment of what's now taking place. Again, compared to the problems that we now face. If we had everything under fucking control, right? If we didn't have a maniacal, pedophile, dictatorial, orange, decrepit, mentally ill person in the White House right now, and people had direct access to healthcare, and, children weren't dying because they were denied access to, cancer research funding, or, all of those things, and homeless people weren't sleeping on the streets the way they are, and vets weren't, lacking in care the way they are. All of these things that we fight for, then maybe I'd be okay with a couple backflips from a motorcycle on the White House front lawn. But that's not where we are. We got wars being fought. We got allies not being supported. We got poor people in the streets. We got the wealth gap growing by the day. We got the world's first trillionaire while more and more people suffer, can't pay their rent, can't put food on the table, can't afford health care, are getting denied by health insurance companies all the time for very vital and life-saving fucking surgeries that they need and procedures that they need. But no, let's go flip around some motorcycles and get some blood and guts spilt on the White House front lawn, and let's fly an eagle in there, and we'll play some Leonard Skinner and shit, right? I mean, that's actually what's taking place. So I'm sure you've seen a couple of the clips. Here's just a few of them. We'll go by. I think this is the one with the eagle. Right, so great. Awesome. Yep, Eagle, America, understood. How about healthcare, right? How about fucking high-speed rail? I don't know. How about, just better access and quality of life? How about lower cost for living, better access to jobs, better access to housing? I don't know, all of those things. I'd take that over this fucking Eagle. I would, in a heartbeat. But, that's more of what they're looking to see. They want to see, diesel trucks doing burnouts and fucking rolling coal on the front house lawn, on the White House front lawn. You know what I mean? That's more along the lines of what they want to see. So you got that. And then there was a couple of them here. I don't know if you saw the... here's kind of the post by the White House. This is the main event, UFC and White House. You got Uncle Sam there, fucking, looking ripped and like Rambo. I mean, just ridiculous shit, right? Ridiculous, especially the times that we're in. Right. Again, if everything was fucking going swimmingly, right? If everybody was being taken care of, if all the government funding was going to the appropriate places, then great. I'll fucking rip them away. I don't care. Make them as jacked as you want. Everything's being taken care of. Sweet. We don't have potholes, right? We got fucking roads, bridges, and railways that actually function and aren't going to collapse. Awesome. We don't have buildings that are going to collapse with people in them. Perfect. Awesome. Make them make them holding the fucking Velociraptor. Put an AK in his hand if you want. If we got all these things taken care of, no war, all that shit, fine, all that, I'm cool with it, but not right now. I mean, come on, like I said, doesn't take too much to see that we got some very, very pressing issues going on in the world, and this shit isn't helping any of them, nor is it celebrating the actual history of this country. You know what I mean? Nor is it celebrating the democracy that we should be fighting for all across this planet consistently right now. But instead, we're just kind of utilizing our military for Donald Trump's maniacal purposes as his like personal military to get through or, you know, get out of the headlines of the Epstein files or to make himself have this legacy as like a warlord that he's dying to have. That seems more along the lines of what they're doing right now. But here's the, you know, the backflips of, I believe, who is it? Travis Pastrana, if I'm not mistaken. You know, there you go. Yep, that helps. Yep, each one of those backflips, another kid's been saved from fucking childhood cancer. No, it didn't. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought it would. Here's kind of a flyover Benny Johnson posted of the, I don't know, you'd call it a roof, but not a roof. Apparently, Dana White says the fight is going to go on regardless at this point in time. You know, it doesn't matter if it's rain, snow, sleet, hail, thunderstorms, lightning. You know, it doesn't matter the threat to the people that are there. All of that, it's going to go on without a hitch. You know what I mean? So there's a few more of these as well. Here's one too. If not, this represents the whole thing perfectly. A guy that has worked his ass off so hard to make this weight, right, has probably dehydrated himself, hasn't eaten in God knows how long to make the weight. And again, I'm speculating here, wobbled his ass to the weigh-in and then you know, went on to throw up on himself. You know, I mean, just, you know, America, of course. But, you know, there's a bunch of these coming from here as well, from different little events taking place. But I think you guys get the picture. It doesn't take much. But like I said, there was a movie that came out about 20 years ago that probably more accurately depicted and predicted this than any other movie. And you guys know the one that I'm talking about. Of course, we're talking about Idiocracy. And I believe I'm okay showing this. I just want to show like a minute of this and just show you the comparison between the ridiculous scene that this movie portrays and how closely affiliated and related that is to what we're going through here in reality right now. But this is a post on YouTube. So YouTube, fucking, this should be okay, because if this guy can post it on YouTube, Joe Blow movie clips, not making that up, quite literally Joe Blow movie clips. He's got 8.46 million subscribers. So I don't know if he's got more entitlement that I have, probably, but he's showing this whole thing, 4-minute clip. I only want to show a minute. And like I said, just kind of compare and contrast the ridiculousness of this scene with the ridiculousness of what we're seeing today. And I might speed it up just a touch, just to maybe add a little layer of security on this as well. So if it sounds a little sped up, it's because I sped it up, but, you know, just trying to save my ass. I only want to play about a minute of this, just this one scene from Idiocracy. Again, 20 years ago, this movie was made. Unbelievable. It's like The Simpsons at how closely the predictions have become, and, you know, what we're seeing borne out in reality. So check this out. Like I said, it's sped up YouTube, and this is actually posted on YouTube. So fair use, fair game, relating it to historical references, whatever, YouTube. Just let me play it, for Christ's sakes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of America, President Camacho. Shut up. Sit your monkey ass down. Chill out. Shit. I know shit's bad right now with all that starving bullshit and the dust storms and we running out of French fries and burrito coverings. Yeah. But I got a solution.
That's what you said last time, dipshit. I got a solution. You're a dick.
South Carolina, what's up?
We're talking about the hunger, right? Talking about people starving. I know they're mocking it, obviously, and talking about burritos and other things to make it funny. But we're talking about right now people starving on the streets. We're talking about war crimes being committed on behalf of our country in other lands that are making other people displaced and starving and put in camps, right? We're talking about all these things happening right now. And again, the idiocracy of the moment is him saying that he's the only one that can save it. You know, he's got the solution. Everybody, don't worry about the starving people because we got better things going on, like backflips by Travis Pastrana and fucking blood and guts being spilt on the White House front lawn. Like, those, don't pay attention. Look at the eagle. Look at the eagle. Don't mind the starving kids. Look at the eagle. That type of shit, right? That's clearly represented here. And it's crazy how closely we're looking at reality is based off of this.
That's what I thought. Now, I understand everyone's shit's emotional right now, but listen up. I got a 3-point plan to fix everything.
Yep. No, it's not so much a 3-point plan, but it's like, it's concepts of a plan, right? Does this sound familiar? I mean, we talked about just the other day from the Iranian release of their text compared to the White House release of whatever text was in the, the Iranian peace deal there. And, Iranians was like a big, long paragraph. Everything was clear and concise. It had very specific dates and details. You look at the bullet plan from the White House, it was like 5 points, open straight, enriched uranium, blah, blah, blah. It looked like a caveman beating his chest or a young kid with a, scrunching a crayon on a piece of paper writing it. Same thing here. Right? Don't worry about the starving kids. I got a 3-point plan, right? Everything's going to be A-okay. I'm the only person that can save it, and I have just the plan right now. So shut up and listen.
One, we got this guy not sure. Number two, he's got a higher IQ than any man alive. And number three,
he's got a higher IQ than any man alive. And I know it's not the actual character stating that about himself, but obviously you can see the clear consistencies between, Trump saying he's the smartest man on earth. He knows most about nuclear weapons. He knows most about the military. He knows most about wind. He knows most about solar. He knows most about rape. Oh, sorry, I don't think he would have added that one. He knows most about felonies. Shit. He knows most about insurrection. Sorry, scratch those 3. You wouldn't want those 3 in there, but you guys understand what I'm saying. Right? The ridiculousness of it, like, oh, everybody's starving, everybody's hurting, everybody's in pain. But don't worry, this one guy is going to save it all because of his really high IQ. And like I said, I think we've played 117. I'm not going to risk it, but you guys get the idea, right? I don't want to play too much of it and have YouTube say I got to take it out of the show. But what we're seeing right now with the backflips and the fucking UFC fights and the Eagles flying and Leonard Skinner and Kid Rock coming in on a fucking Boeing aircraft or whatever the hell they got planned, right? Basically all to celebrate the Fuhrer. It's not to celebrate America. It's not. It's not, a recounting of American history, the plight of the American people and the indigenous people that were here. It's not a recounting of, the world wars that we fought in or Korea or Vietnam. Right? It's none of that. It's not a recognition of the sacrifices of the people that served this country. It's not the recognition of the sacrifices of the people during the civil rights movement and other movements that changed the face of society in this country. It's none of that. It's how many fucking 1.5s can you do over the White House? It's how quickly can you beat this guy's face in front of the White House? How quickly can this eagle fly from this perch to the fat lady on the fucking stage, right? And no offense to the fat lady, but you're used as a pawn in this fucking position. Sorry, you just happen to find yourself catching strays. My apologies. But you guys understand what I'm saying at this point. It's just it's a joke, right? And there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place. And if there was a lot of good things happening and the economy was actually doing as well as they said it was doing for everybody and not just the 1%, right? Not just for or because of the 6 or 7 fucking AI companies that are basically keeping the damn thing afloat by them goddamn selves at this point. No, like if everything was going smoothly and you could get on a high-speed rail from here, from Boston to California and back, or, you could go right now to any hospital, any healthcare center and get any treatment you needed done, and it wouldn't cost you bankruptcy, it wouldn't cost you your house or your mortgage or your healthcare, your health or your marriage or whatever it is that it's costing people today, your child in some cases. Then fine, do some backflips somewhere. But let's also talk about the history of this country. Let's also celebrate and respect the heroes that fought, that served this country, that took an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and died on the beaches of Normandy or somewhere in Europe or wherever it may have been that they were fighting. How about that is the celebration? How about that's the recognition? Or we go back to, like I said, talking about the indigenous people, right? The plight of African Americans in this country. How about utilizing that time to celebrate that? Maybe not even calling it obvious, not using the word celebration, right? Maybe just recognition, because clearly it wouldn't be a celebration, right? But you understand what I'm saying. We could have all these different events, right? We've been having events for weeks and months now talking about this shit. But there's a time and a place, and there's so much going wrong right now, and so many people are struggling, myself included, people in the chat included, that to see this is just a clear smack in the face, right? It's just a clear kick in the dick to a lot of people where they don't know where their next meal is coming from. They don't know how the fuck they're going to fill their gas tank to get to work the next day. They don't know how their kid's supposed to go on a field trip and they're supposed to pay for lunch or the travel, the transport, the accommodations, right? All of these things that I'm sure you guys worry about on a day-to-day basis. To see this opulence taking place, right? The gold facade of the White House being put up. Meanwhile, we're sitting there with fucking hat in hand, hoping for, I don't know, some change to come flying out of the generosity of the people on YouTube so I could fucking feed myself. It's tough, you know what I mean? So that's where the frustration comes in, and I'm right there with you. So, like I said, they're going to try to make it seem like the left just hates America and doesn't like celebrations, and that this, like, because people showed up, it's like it's a strike against the left. No, fuck that. I've stated my reasons pretty clearly, and if you don't agree with them, give me a counter argument, and if not, fucking piss off. How about that? It's my show, and that's what I get to say. All right. Let's dive on here, because this is, with right in line with what we're talking about, because the Legos aren't going to let this fly. Okay. The Legos were definitely going to hop on this. They're calling it bread and circuses, much like the Romans. Right. And I'm sure there's a lot of different historical references that we could make to people getting promised food and work and shelter and amusements, circuses, entertainment, people fighting animals, people fighting each other. That way they don't focus upon the corruption. They don't focus upon, again, the inequality that is consistently growing between the working class of the working class people of this country and the top 1%, the billionaire pedophile Epstein class that continues to wake up every day with their fucking knee on our throats while we sit there and toil away in their factories and in their shops, making it possible to buy their fucking 10th Porsche, 14th Lamborghini, 19th fucking yacht, 18th Swedish swimsuit model, 25th home in fucking Saint-Tropez, whatever it may be. But you go home broke. You go home not being able to afford your groceries. You go home not knowing how the fuck you're going to take care of the ailment that you have going on. Because if you take your ass to the hospital, it's going to fucking bankrupt you, or could possibly bankrupt you, or the insurance isn't going to cover it. All of those fucking things going on. But again, we have bread and circuses being shown here by the ridiculously corrupt government that we now have in place. And the Legos weren't going to let it slide. So Persia Boy here already coming out with Trump is turning the White House lawn into a UFC arena while the country burns behind him. So I figured I'd dive into this one and see how accurately this is portrayed and represented from, like I said, the greed and opulence of Dana White, UFC, and the rest of these fucking scumbags compared to what the average American working class blue collar individual is going through and experiencing on a day-to-day basis. So like I said, here's Persia Boy with bread and circuses.
Yeah. While the empire burns, they throwing fights on the lawn. Yeah. Bread and circuses, that's the new plan. White House, UFC, why the country in the sand. Taught like a warrior, but you hosting the fights. Gladiators on the grass while we losing our rights. Bread and circuses, that's how it ends. Fake tough guy throwing punches for the fans. Empire falling, but you throwing events. This ain't power, this is just pretense. You lost in our plan, but you throwing the show. Economy shaking, but the camera still roll. You talk like a king, but you putting on fights. Why the real problem stacking every single night? You want the people distracted, you want them entertained. So you turning the White House into a fighting ring. Roman Empire vibes, that's the energy now. Throwing bread and circuses while it's all burning down. You can smile for the cameras, you can act like you strong, but the real fight is one you've been running from. You can put on the show, you can sell the distraction, but we see through the circus and the fake satisfaction. You want us watching fights instead of watching you fail, but the empire is cracking and it's leaving a trail. Bread and circuses only work for so long before the people wake up and see what's really wrong. Bread and circuses, that's the new plan. White House, UFC, while the country in the sand. Talk like a warrior, but you hosting the fight. Sacred defense, watching while you losing your grip. Bread and circuses, yeah, that's what it is. Fake empire energy, that's all that you give. Sacred defense, bread and circuses. Empire
And of course, the promise of peace and bread and work and jobs and places to live, like that's not directly associated or specifically associated just with the Romans. Of course, looking at World War II, the promises of Hitler to the people, going back to, I mean, any dictator and autocrat, Mussolini, Stalin, all of them promised pretty much the same exact thing. These big projects that would bring back labor and bring back the jobs for the people. They would be able to afford bread. They would make bread affordable. Obviously, that would lead them to being able to afford a home and stuff like that. That was the promises, which again got people on the sides of the corrupt autocrats that were in charge of them. But like I said, Lego not letting it slide, and the rest of the world recognizes this as well. I mean, they recognize. I mean, we even talk about a new report I have written down here that the Iranian regime had actually brought in shrinks and psychologists to help them mediate and to help them get through the maniacal dealings and rhetoric and bullshit of Donald Trump, because they know they're dealing with a psychopath, because they know they're dealing with somebody that is mentally unstable, mentally ill, mentally decrepit, right? Somebody that has no concrete beliefs, policies, standards, soul, anything like that to base anything that he's going to say or any prediction of where he's going to go off of. That's why it's so hard for us to pin down the truth. That's why it's so hard for us to look at what the Iranians are saying and the White House is saying, and then recognize the distance in between that and figure out how the fuck these two sides could be even talking about the same thing. Right. So all of that kind of lends itself to the same thing. And like I said, if anybody has any breaking news of anything said by the White House before I dive off here, before I get off today, we'll take a look at some of the latest reporting and see if I missed anything while I was live. But the rest of the world sees how ridiculous this is. Okay, they know the war's going on. They know the instability, how psychotic our leader is, how unstable these times are, how unstable the Middle East is, how unstable the relationship of the United States is with our allies. All of that they see. Obviously, they see the way that the country is falling apart. They see that we can't even host the World Cup without detaining and utilizing their anti-immigration policies against people that are just coming here either to referee, to be a part of the sports organizations, or that have spent thousands and thousands of dollars traveling from all ends of the globe to come watch their team play. All of the world recognizes how ridiculous this is. So again, it might look substantial to them, it might feel substantial to them, but like people understand the absurdity of this all, much like they do the absurdity of Donald Trump trying to say time and time again that he's the best leader, that he's lowered prices, that he's eliminated the Iranian military. All of these insane lies that Donald Trump has been saying for quite some time. People are more and more every day starting to wake up and recognize how absurd this moment is. So speaking about the absurdity of the moment, what do you say we dive into this real quick? This is kind of like, it's Sunday, so I figured we'd just do kind of like a quick recap, a quick rehashing of the week of failures from Donald Trump. Simon Marks here from LBC. He's the Washington correspondent, typically on with James O'Brien, seen him more consistently on with other, other journalists here, other speakers here from LBC. But he's on by himself here talking about Donald Trump says he, quote, loves inflation. You'll remember that. That's a great one we could use going into midterms. And like I said, he's just kind of giving a general recap of some of the ridiculousness, the failures of Donald Trump over the last few days. So I figured we'd dive into this, see if there's anything that we missed. After this, we have, let us see here. What do we got coming up? Oh, yeah, we'll talk about Elon Musk as well, becoming the world's first trillionaire, and how he's just basically trying to implant himself and create chaos, whether it be in Europe or anywhere else that he could stick his nose into more specifically. So that's coming up next. But when you say we dive into this, just a couple of minutes, hit that like button. My name is Brian. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast, and I really do appreciate you for not only joining me, but for supporting me the way that you guys have. Very much appreciate you guys supporting independent creators that are not beholden to any corporate sponsors, anything like that, that try to utilize the generosity and support of the people that are very engaged that are very, very supportive of these channels to the best of our ability. So thank you guys for either getting the merch on the merch site or sending $1 to the Venmo, sending $1 or $2 into the chat. All of these things go a long, long way in helping support independent creators that, again, don't sell you any bullshit, don't talk to any sponsors, ads, nothing like that. We try to do it, from the ground up and utilizing, again, you guys and your passion as well. So again, Simon Marks, just kind of going over the week of Donald Trump's failures. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button.
If you think Sir Keir Starmer's had a lousy week, wait till you hear about Donald Trump's. Imagine just for a second the consequences of any British Prime Minister, or indeed any elected leader pretty much anywhere, reacting to some deeply unsettling news about inflation like this.
Are you concerned, Mr. President, about the latest inflation number which came out this morning? Could that be a
No, I love it. The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation.
Inflation to come down between now and November.
When the war's over,
Yes.
it's coming down.
I know you can't.
It's going to come down like a rock.
Less than 5 months before crucial midterm elections that will seal the fate of his administration, the president, claiming to love the inflation, was definitely not on anyone's bingo card on the morning that the Bureau of Labor Statistics announced that in May, year-on-year prices in the US rose by 4%.
So Fox doesn't recognize the absurdity of the president saying that, right? Much like they didn't recognize the absurdity of, and again, I'm paraphrasing, of Trump's previous quote of basically saying he doesn't care or think about the economic ramifications and pressures being put on the American people. So that's not something that escapes the minds of people watching this from the outside. That's ridiculous, much like he just stated. If Keir Starmer or any other prime minister or any other elected official inside of the UK government ever decided to say they loved inflation or they didn't care at all whatsoever about what the UK people were paying as far as taxes or added pressure on the economy caused by a devastating war enacted by their own government, you could see the absurdity in that in any other country, but in here, somehow Fox doesn't recognize it. Mike Johnson continues to say that it was taken out of context. J.D. Vance says it was taken out of context. OAN, Newsmax, RSBN, all of them. They don't recognize the absurdity of that, or do, but won't allow themselves to tell their viewers that. But again, you can see how clear and really obvious it is to other people looking from the outside in, right?
0.2%. That's almost double the inflation rate that the president inherited from Joe Biden. And just to put it into perspective, petrol is 50% higher in price than it was the day before Donald Trump launched his war on Iran. Fruit and veg being increasingly hit by concerns over crucial fertilizer components that are no longer able to sail through the Strait of Hormuz. They're up 6.1% over the last year and still rising. The president later scrambled, giving an interview to the New York Post, insisting he had been quoted out of context. And on Capitol Hill, Mike Johnson, his loyal Speaker of the House.
Luckily, again, it's 2026 and the video exists, okay? The internet lives forever. We can look with our eyes. We can hear with our ears. We can understand the words because we speak that language, right? So, again, you can't just go back days after recognizing how damaging the statements were and say that it was taken out of context, because we have the entirety of the context. We watched the entirety of the interview or whatever whatever interview or press conference or gaggle he was at where he made the statements. We have the whole thing. There's nothing hidden from that. There's no context to be hidden from that.
House of Representatives was doing the same thing.
The president is laser focused on the domestic economic situation. He is working to bring down prices. He is working to get the Strait of Hormuz reopened. What he was saying is it's going to be great to have that number and compare it to what comes next when we get these situations resolved. That'll be a fun thing to consider.
And it will indeed be
And the absurdity again of that. Mike Johnson having to again defend and obfuscate for Donald Trump. He didn't mean that he loved inflation. He just said he was going to love the fact that it's so high now. And then when the war ends, how low it's going to go. And then we can compare and contrast. It's going to be so fun. So basically what he's stating is that the goal of every American president is to, in the first 2 years of his presidency, make sure that the inflation can get as high as humanly fucking possible, right? So then in the second half of his term, in the second 2 years, he can do everything he can to make it as low as possible. And then we can laugh all the way to the bank at the difference and the discrepancy between the two. That's what he's saying. It's unbelievable that Donald Trump was allowed the opportunity to make inflation go to 4.2%, the highest in at least 3 years. And going back before that, quite some fucking time. But that's okay because we can now compare that 4.2% to whatever it comes down to when this hypothetical fucking peace deal gets signed. Right? You know what I mean? That's what he said. That's what he wants you to believe, and it's absurd. Again, I'm sorry to continue reiterating the same descriptors for these types of things, but it's I'm steadily running out of ways to describe the insanity that we have to go through every single day.
Fun thing to consider if it ever actually happens. But on that claim about the president being laser focused on the domestic economic situation, the problem with that is there's another golden and careless phrase that Donald Trump used 1 month ago today that is also still a fun thing to consider.
To what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think.
So this is where he states that he doesn't care about the financial situations of the American people, as we've talked about on this show. He also goes on here, and like I said, this is about a 12-minute clip here. We don't have to look at it all. This is where he's booed at Madison Square Garden. He goes over here, and then we'll also talk about the Iranian deal, the peace deal that Donald Trump says is supposed to be signed. I just want to get his take on that. But here's where he's getting booed at Madison Square Garden, but saying it was like an overwhelmingly positive reception that he got.
What happened on Monday night when Donald Trump, rather bravely it should be said, made the decision to travel to Madison Square Garden in New York City for an NBA final between the New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs.
Who's my stripes?
As Trump's image appeared on the big video screens during the rendition of the national anthem, in the words of a White House poll report written by Jeff Murdoch of the pro-Trump Washington Times, the president was thunderously booed. It was loud and long. Some of the guests in the president's suite, including his granddaughter, seemed to be smirking. Was it Trump's Ceausescu moment, like December 1989, when Romania's dictator was, for the first time, jeered and heckled by crowds who then forced him and his all-powerful wife from office? Perhaps not.
I appreciate the comparison. I really do, Simon. I appreciate the comparison to hopefully, the uprising of the people and the obvious show of the degradation of support that they were showing for Ceausescu as well. But this isn't the first time by any stretch of the imagination that Donald Trump has gone into an arena, gone into a stadium, gone into, the Kennedy Center, gone into anywhere and was decisively booed, right? And then tried to come out of that saying that it was a great reception. That's not what you heard. You didn't see people giving him the middle finger. That was, supposed to represent, two birds flying. No, that's eagles. Those are eagles flying, apparently, according to Stephen Chung, Stephen Miller, anybody else in the White House communications team. He's not getting booed, but like I said, I do appreciate the comparison. But he's been overwhelmingly booed in a lot of circumstances, a lot of these different sporting events that he's gone to. So I'm not really hopeful that that's like the signature look or the signature aspect we look for like the uprising or the fatal turn of the citizenry against their dictatorial leader. I think that a lot of people have been, in that situation, myself and you guys in the chat included, in that feeling, in that sentiment against him for quite some time. But, it's just, what can we do to mitigate the damages and get him out of power is the question.
But it is certainly redolent of the sense that something has changed in the last few weeks, and the old Teflon Don may no longer be untouchable. One example, there is now growing skepticism towards anything the president says about Iran.
Sir, did you say 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 weeks?
2 or 3 days.
You'll be signing a peace agreement?
No, we have a good chance of doing it. We should be able to do it in 1 hour. If you want to know the truth.
What's the biggest sticking point right now?
I don't think there are any sticking points.
So that was on Monday night, shortly after he was booed relentlessly at the basketball game. Everything was going swimmingly. Now, I'm not going to waste your time with the litany of back and forth that has taken place all week. But as you know, the Iranians managed to bring down a US Apache attack helicopter, which Trump initially said wasn't a big deal.
With spitballs, Simon, with spitballs. Apparently, they have guys with really good arms, and they used rocks because they have no military capabilities. They can't shoot up drones or missiles. They don't have radar systems. They certainly can't target or paint an Apache or an F-35 or F-15s or F-16s or anything like that, which we've already seen before. They can't do any of that. So it must be spitballs, rocks. They might have thrown a boomerang. Maybe it was a boomerang that took down the Apache. I'm not sure. Just just to reiterate.
Deal. But he then decided to launch 2 nights of significant retaliatory airstrikes against the regime. That involved 49 Tomahawk missiles being dropped on targets that U.S. Central Command said included Iranian air defense operations, which
again, I think we've already shot up, what was it, 500 plus? I'm probably off on that number, but a substantial amount of Tomahawks already. So again, apparently another 50, another 49 was going to do the trick. That was going to end this war. That was going to really bring the Iranians to the table, not the thousands of other munitions that we've already dropped and launched into their country. But those 49 Tomahawks, baby, those are going to be the backbreaker. Those were really going to do it, apparently.
Curious, because the observant among you will remember.
And like I said, Benjamin Netanyahu apparently didn't get the memo.
That as long ago as April, the president said Iran didn't have any air defense operations left. Anyway, 1 minute he was going in hot and heavy and even planning to seize Kharg Island, a huge oil processing facility.
Like I said, for the sake of time, I'll go on because he talks about the peace deal a little further as well right here.
Backed off again, telling quizzical reporters that a ceasefire extension deal was suddenly at hand.
We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran. And we're going to be subject to finalization of documents. We should get done over the next few days. Probably have a signing maybe in Europe. And it's a great thing.
He's made a great settlement of the war subject to the finalization of...
And again, with nothing being finalized, the guy just blatantly and ridiculously announces some sort of signing on his birthday. Got to be on his birthday, right, guys? Got to celebrate the Fuhrer. Everything's going to happen in and around the Fuhrer. It's got to have his birth date on it. It's got to have his singer. All this shit's got to be big, bold letters of Trump and the peace deal and all that. Meanwhile, the Iranians are talking on the phone like, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, dude. I don't. We didn't finalize. We've seen shit. We've agreed to some shit. We've gone back and forth on some shit, but nothing's been finalized. So I don't know what he's signing on Sunday. Maybe it's his fucking birthday cards he's sending to Jeffrey Epstein, but it sure as fuck ain't a peace deal. You know what I mean? And that was reported by, I believe, Faz News, some of the other Iranian affiliated news outlets from different spokespeople on the Iranian side. Like, I don't know what he's talking about, much like we've said time and time again. What's happening in reality bears no resemblance to what Donald Trump is saying on True Social or in his Oval Office meetings when he does in fact have his fucking eyes open. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But like I said, just another minute of this and then we'll go on to, I know you guys like a little Jonathan Pie. Who doesn't like a little Jonathan Pie? I know you guys put up with my love of all things British a lot of the times, but he's pretty funny in what he does. And he's going after Elon Musk, obviously, for the ridiculous wealth that he has and him not utilizing that for the betterment of society, where he could put in enough money, not to kind of get off track here, but Elon Musk could put in enough money to end world hunger for, I believe, a year, right? I think he could just donate enough money to end world hunger for, I believe, the accounting is about a year, right? Not forever, but for a good amount of time for a lot of people. And he would be no less rich than he was about 3 days ago. You know what I mean? Like, that's how fucking wealthy he is. That's how much money he is. And that's how much money he just made with SpaceX and all that other bullshit, right? He could give up, I think it was like $250 or $300 billion or something like that. And he would be no less rich than he was about fucking 3 days ago. And he could end world hunger for about a year. Just let that sink in. But like I said, before I dive into a little Jonathan Pie, let's finish off this one real quick. Thank you, guys. Hit that like button. I appreciate you very much for joining me, taking the time out of your day and watching a little bit of this show here. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. Just make it worth it, all right? Appreciate you guys.
Documents. He then went on to call it a concept of a deal. And so among reporters in the room who were already dreaming...
I love when other people from outside countries react to the ridiculous statements that Donald Trump's been making for quite some time. So they may not have heard it or heard it as much or recognize it. But when we hear concepts of a deal and how ludicrous that statement is, like the memorandum of understanding to a prior peace deal that states that we might stipulate a maybe talk of 60 days in sometime in the future type of thing that we're talking about now with Iran, but that, like, the peace deals that he's got, the plans of a deal is crazy to hear other people laugh at that outright.
Packing their bags and heading to Europe for the signing ceremony next week. Suddenly the blood was up.
You said this was just a concept of that agreement. So is this just essentially setting the stage for deeper talks on nuclear?
It's a very strong memorandum of understanding that is a little conceptual, but it's something that's going to get done. And if it
It's
doesn't,
it's a conceptual memorandum of understanding to say that we may at a later date sit down and talk about the main aspects and goals that we didn't achieve during all of the bombing and missiles and drones and shit that we were shooting. But it is a kind of a promise. It's like a pinky swear almost to possibly at some point in the future sit down. Kinda. It's like, Jesus Christ.
done for any reason, which I can't imagine that not happening. They want to sign it as much as I do or more. I would say they want to sign it more, maybe a lot
But like
more.
I said, unless there's anything breaking, we don't have to dive into too much more of that. We'll go into here. Jonathan Pye, aka Tom Walker, doing his little ditty here, and this is titled $1 trillion. And again, talking about Elon Musk becoming the world's first trillionaire and all of the good that he could be doing with it, and instead making himself the most villainous character on the planet. Right. Probably one of the most hated people for a lot of those of you in Europe right now. And again, like I said, I'll let Jonathan Pye take it away from here. But he does this. This is only about 5 minutes. So we'll see how much of this we can get through. I think the ending is pretty good as well. So maybe we'll skip through a little bit of it depending on how much time we got. So hit that like button. Like I said, this is the Blunt Politics Podcast. I'm Boston Brian. I appreciate the best chat on the planet. There's a little bit of Jonathan Pye going after Elon Musk. Thanks, guys.
As Elon Musk becomes the world's first trillionaire, here's Steve to crunch some numbers. The world's first trillionaire.
I gotta say, I love that little pause, right? Like he's just finishing up, a segment for whatever news agency he's supposed to be working for, and then like the camera's supposed to cut out, and this is like what he really thinks. I kind of like that aspect of it, like to what the journalist is saying on camera and what they actually think off camera are two completely and totally separate things, and I think it's an accurate representation, if you ask me.
I suppose that's just inflation, isn't it, really? What is a trillion? Is it like it's like 10,000 billions? It's 1,000 billions. Is that all? And that's in dollars. A million millions. That's what a billion is. 1 million times $1 million. Now that does sound ridiculous. I think Musk made at least $250 billion on Friday, or 250,000 million. It does sound better when you do it like that, doesn't it? 250,000 million. It's not a bad day at the office. That's quite a good line, that. I looked it up, right? It's enough money to completely eradicate extreme poverty worldwide for a year. But if he gave away $250,000 million today, he'd still be as rich as he was on Friday morning. And I know you don't become a trillionaire by giving your money away, but, I mean, to imagine having billions and billions of pounds and waking up every single morning and not thinking, right, how can I help? How could you not look at your bank balance and think, I'm going to try and save the world today? I'm going to buy a couple of really nice houses.
And think back, right? Not just of Elon Musk. What was Jeff Bezos saying? What was he sitting down with CNBC or MSNBC, one of the two, in his recent interview that he was doing, talking about the nurses in the Bronx and, all of the healthcare workers and the education workers. And, we could talk about and have a discussion on whether or not I should pay more taxes, but it's not going to help anything. Bull fucking shit. Right? Bullshit. The amount of money that you should be paying compared to what everybody else is paying, and compared to what the corporate tax rate used to be in this country, we could absolutely be doing a ton of fucking good. And we could absolutely be raising a lot of people out of poverty. And we could absolutely be doing a lot to save child hunger or veterans poverty, or veterans homelessness or lack of veteran care to begin with. Right? All of these things, like we continue to say, high-speed rail, access to healthcare, better jobs, easier access to housing, less rent, like all of these things, less energy costs, less grocery costs, less goods, clothing costs, all of these things that we could talk about. Yes, it absolutely would go to benefit society in a very substantial way. If, again, not only Jeff Bezos, but the rest of these dickheads decided to pay their fucking fair share and not just talk about the dollar amount, but let's talk about percentages, okay? Let's not get tied up in like, oh, look at how much up. Yeah, but guess what? Percentage-wise, it ain't shit, okay? So fuck off with that talking point. So, it's not just Elon. I know you guys understand that. It's the rest of these corporate cocksuckers that love to feed off the backs of you guys and your labor and the rest of everybody else that make these companies grow and go. Meanwhile, they're spending a fortune on the back end on, buying their own stocks instead of investing in research and development to make things safer, to make them last longer, to make it so you don't have to buy them as frequently. All of these things that they should be doing. But no, they'd rather put research and development and how to make these things fucking break more frequently so that they could, make more money off the backs of you guys that have to go out and buy these things more frequently. Whether it be dishwashers. I mean, how many times have you guys recognized or said when you guys had something replaced? And as a plumber, I heard this all the fucking time. They don't make them like they used to, right? You used to take out an oven, right? Take out an old fucking oven from any house, from any old house, especially here in New England. If you live in an older part of the country, take you about 17 motherfuckers to get that thing out of the house, right? You could bring the new one in, twirling it on your finger like you're a Harlem Globetrotter because it weighs about 13 fucking ounces. Okay? And it lasts about 7 seconds. The other one lasted 78 fucking years, if not more. Your refrigerators, okay? Washing machines, dryers, microwaves, all this shit. It's water heaters. It's literally made to break the second that warranty goes out, motherfuckers, okay? They spend more time researching and developing how to make that thing break the second that warranty goes out of place than they do trying to make it last for years and generations so that you don't have to worry about that. You maybe can set it and forget it and not have to worry about spending thousands of dollars on an AC unit or a fucking heating unit or a water filtration system or a water heater or all the things that maybe you now need because you don't have clean fucking access to drinking water and shit. I don't know. I'm just saying. Maybe I'm crazy. You guys let me know in the chat.
Lamborghini and a pointless yacht, and then I'm going to try and cure cancer and save the lesser spotted leopard from extinction while I'm at it. How could you not do that? Not how can I make more money, not how can I change the system in my favor, not how can I persuade poor people that me paying tax is bad for the economy, not how much rage baiting can I fit in today, how much can I piss off the libtards today, or how can I sell more aluminium trash panzers. What's wrong with him? Are you joking? 10 years...
I believe he just called an aluminium trash panzer. And I know we say aluminum here, but I'll consistently call it aluminium if he wants me to. But is he talking about the Cybertruck? The aluminium trash panzer is fucking great as far as a nickname for that shithole. The aluminium trash panzer. That's great.
Years ago, Elon Musk was bragging about how we'd all have electric cars on Mars. 10 years later, he's bragging about how you can create your own AI child pornography on Grok whilst openly promoting far-right parties across Europe, including the AfD, which is as near Germany as got to the Nazis since, well, the Nazis. The guy pays Tommy Robinson's legal bills. He speaks at his rallies. Last year, Musk was suggesting that America should liberate the Brits from our tyrannical government, suggesting the king should recall parliament, the richest man in the world, calling on an unelected monarch to mount a coup d'etat. He is objectively one of the world's most prominent spreaders of misinformation, false narratives, conspiracy theories, and outright lies, deliberately stoking civil unrest, like the time he tweeted a picture of migrants storming a hospital in Birmingham, and it turned out to be a still from one of the Batman movies. Does being the richest person in the world make you the world's biggest arsehole, or does being the world's biggest arsehole make you the world's richest man? Musk's wealth now exceeds that of the poorest 3.8 billion people in the world combined. That's 46%.
3.8 billion people together. I'm pretty sure he's talking about their net worths together are less than fucking Elon Musk's net worth right now. And I think as he's going to go on and state, if he hasn't stated already, that Elon Musk now has more money than 30 something of the total countries on this planet. Okay. Just to, again, put it in further perspective.
Of the global population. Right, I'm not a religious man, but when I look at Elon Musk, I hope there is a heaven and a hell. That I wonder if one day he'll realize that no bank balance, no matter how impressive, can guarantee you a place in heaven if you believe in it, or indeed shield you from everlasting nothingness if you don't. If we're lucky enough to live long enough, we are all destined to look back on our lives and be filled with a mixture of regret and gratefulness. I wonder, as death draws near many years from now, if Musk possesses enough humanity to recognize the true horror of the consequences of every decent choice he could have made but didn't. And whether he is capable of feeling the crippling regret that he chose instead to allow his wealth to enable despots, to amplify lies, to pay far-right racists, to call for the overthrow of democratically elected governments, to aid the destruction of our natural world, and to cause unspeakable inequality misery and suffering to those he could and should have helped. On his deathbed, I am willing to bet all my money against all of his that Musk's God complex will suddenly evaporate, and all the voices that once hollered that Musk is the man who tells it how it is, the self-made man who changed the world for the better, all those voices will fall silent, and the only voice left will be the sound of history itself scribbling into its notebook, "Here lies the worst human being that ever existed." Hats off to him, though. It's quite an achievement. Thanks, Steve. Well, not a bad day's work.
And then he goes into, and he's 100% right. Sorry. I mean, round of applause for that whole fucking video right there. He's bang on, spot on, no notes as far as that's concerned. But the fact that he goes like right into doing his news report after that, like he didn't say anything is again, I love the whole shtick. But again, what he's saying, spot on, bang on, no notes, 100%. And like I said, I don't think it's strong enough to recognize Elon Musk as one of the worst, most hated people on the face of this fucking planet right now. The villain of all villains, again, the world's first trillionaire, and doing absolutely no good with it whatsoever. So, all right, I digress a little bit. I know I'm running out of time here, and I do appreciate you guys for sticking with me. I feel like it's been a really good show so far. So if you could hit that like button, if you feel the same way, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, or Substack, please make sure you're leaving a comment. Please make sure you're sharing this out. Really goes to help boost the live and the numbers, putting it out there to people that may not have recognized or noticed that we're live or the show even exists. And like I said, some of the things that we're talking about, especially Gaza, West Bank, Israel, and especially what we're talking about now going on with Russia and Ukraine, not typically what the algorithm tends to boost, right? So if you guys could do your part, and thank you to everybody utilizing the Venmo up in the corner, sending in a buck or two. That's all we ask for. Again, we're not trying to drive Ferraris. We're not trying to live in mansions. We're just trying to survive here while giving you guys the insights, the news, our opinions, and again, keeping up to date on these important issues. So much appreciated for you guys keeping the lights on here. But yeah, let's dive into this real quick. Just a little recounting of some of the losses here by the Russians in the last 24 hours. And then we're going to talk about how Ukraine continues to hammer away at oil refineries and different targets within Russia, obviously the occupied territories as well, but a pretty substantial strike and some pretty good footage coming from that strike. And then we have a little bit from Maxim Kalashnikov, who is a Russian mill blogger who seems to be, again, like we've talked about with Preston Stewart, I talked about yesterday with Philip Bittner and Hal. Go check that out. My apologies for the sound problems and sound quality on that one, but I had to use my cell phone for some reason. The links weren't working with my computer. Everything seems to be good now. But yeah, go check that out. And like I said, there's some insights and some good footage to come from that strike overnight as well. So, all right, let's dive into this. This is Russian losses over the last 24 hours. This is from February 24th, 2022, obviously, the start of the war, to June 14th, 2026. Okay, so about as up to date as you can get. We're counting and chalking up another 1,440 Russian losses. That is Russian personnel eliminated from the battlefield. So we're taking out another 5 tanks in 24 hours, like I said, 14 armored fighting vehicles, 57 artillery systems is insane, 3 multi-launch rocket systems, 1 air defense system, 2,132 drones, 13 unmanned ground vehicles, another 401 vehicles and fuel tanks, which goes to show you the increased attacks on the land bridge down there in Crimea, specifically going after resupply vehicles, fuel vehicles, which is adding to that tally right there. And then obviously that 1 special equipment that was also taken out. Let me see. I think there was something else that I wanted to show on this one. Yeah, there was this as well. So not just Ukrainian strikes going into Russia, but obviously Russian strikes coming back at Ukraine. This is Russian forces launched an attack on Dnipro and injuring 7 people and damaging a light industry facility. So like I said, you can see the damage there to the roof. But like I said, we continue to try to bring you guys both the good and the bad. And if it's being reported and accounted, we're going to bring you that news too. Here's another one from United 24 where they're testing the demining systems, the unmanned demining systems, which is again a pretty cool use of these unmanned ground vehicles. This is kind of like the funnies. I don't know if anybody knows their World War II history, but the British designer there, the British architect that basically took the different tank models, the tank systems, and turned them into either, land bridges, right? It's kind of a funny use of the term as we talk about the land bridge down Crimea, but basically a tank would be put into a ditch made by, an artillery explosion, naval artillery explosion, whatever it may be. But if it was a big area you needed to cover, there was a tank that would drive into a ditch. It would unfold, kind of the tracks or the bridge that was on top of it, and it would allow different, vehicles to traverse that ditch. There was, there was flailing vehicles that swung different chains and different things that would go along and try to set off the mines to clear a path for the tanks and the infantry and stuff. There was a ton of these different funnies, as they called them, that were utilized for different purposes on Normandy and in different areas, obviously during World War II. But this is kind of reminding me of that. So you can utilize this unmanned ground platform for, exfil, right? You can use it for infill. You can use it for demining. You can use it for intelligence gathering, right? You can use it for so many different things. And, you can see the Ukrainians obviously all on top of all of these technological advancements right off the bat. So we've also talked about the fuel shortages and fuel rationings going on. So this is not just Crimea now, guys, okay? So now we're talking about not only occupied territories of Ukraine by Russia now experiencing fuel shortages, but also areas inside of Russia. So Russia, okay, not Russian-occupied territories in Ukraine, Russia, that are now reportedly seeing massive fuel shortages, and that extends obviously into the occupied territories as well. But the fact that that's spreading into Russia is not a good sign for the Russians, and definitely not a good sign for Putin as well. But let me see if we can dive into this. This was Kate from Kharkiv, kind of giving us a few updates. Here is that oil depot that was attacked, and this is where the majority of the footage that we'll be getting is coming from this strike, because we got one here from the professor giving us, I think, a little bit more insight as to what happened during this strike. We got one from the Sun, just kind of compiling all of the footage coming from this. But this is Kate from Kharkiv saying, oil depot attacked in Rybinsk in the Yaroslavl region of Russia. And you can see a pretty substantial smoke plume and obviously a pretty substantial fire, and some pretty accurate drone usage there by the Ukrainians. And this is, on top of all of the different refineries, all of the different ports that they've been continuously attacking here, making it very, very difficult for Russia to keep up their levels of production and obviously the levels of sales. I forget the percentage that they've gone down, but I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 20, maybe even a little bit more of that, as far as the levels of oil that they've been able to get to ports and to sell. So that's obviously a very good thing for the Ukrainians as well. This was another one. A man was killed in a Russian attack on one of the settlements of Zaporizhia, a district. So again, going both ways was this. So let's see if there was any other footage coming from this strike here. This is a little bit of the drone activity coming from Ukraine. So this says about 300 Ukrainian drones are returning Russian war back to sender right now. So like I said, this is just kind of showing you where the drones were coming from and the direction that they're traveling. You can see Kyiv here, right where my mouse is. So obviously up here in the north of the country, obviously coming down here in Donetsk, down by Mariupol, and obviously down into Crimea as well. Looks like Sevastopol has become an area of concern for the Russians, as it looks like they've become more and more willing or ready to try to extract people from there, where the resources are running out, and obviously the Ukrainian attacks are becoming more and more frequent. So it looks like something that they're recognizing that they might not have the ability to save long term. Not saying that's happening short term, but definitely something that needs to be looked at and considered as far as what the Russians deem their ability or the percentages they have to actually continue holding control over Crimea, while Ukraine does a pretty good job of cutting off the bridges, cutting off the resupply into that area. So let me see if there was anything else we needed to report. I think there was this one as well. I don't know if this was a different angle, but I just tried to throw this in there just in case. Yeah, this was another angle of that of that strike in Rybinsk. Let me see if I can play this real quick. I believe this was posted on Telegram by an obvious Russian in the area. So here's another video of another Ukrainian drone striking after there's obviously been successful strikes beforehand. Did you see that guy just standing there taking the cell phone footage? Like, if that doesn't give you like an accurate representation of how the Russians know, the Russians know that the Ukrainians are going after these military targets. Like, you would think that, with these strikes happening that close, and I'll let it play again. Here, I'll take the sound off. It can play in the background while I'm talking. You guys can check out the footage. But in one of these clips, you'll see a guy standing there in what looks to be shorts and fucking flip-flops, kind of just sitting there recording this. But you would think if they thought that they were under civilian attack, that they would be rushing to safety. They would be rushing to, an underground bunker. They would be rushing to a basement. But I think they know, after this long, this deep into the war, that the Ukrainians are going after the military targets or the oil targets or whatever it may be, and they're not going after the civilians. Whereas if you flip the script, and this was a Russian drone attack on Ukraine, immediately the sirens go off. Immediately people get to cover, especially after the increase in attacks and especially the weapons that were used by Russia in the last few attacks. Like, it's different. You're not going to sit there and see people, to a large extent sitting there filming with their cell phones. They get right to the fucking shelter, right to the bunkers, right to a place of safety, because they know that the Russians are attacking civilian infrastructure, are attacking, bridges, railways, hospitals. They are attacking apartment complexes. They are attacking ambulances, taxis, trucks, all of these things. So again, you can see that was like a stark difference that I saw, and you can see it in the background there. I caught it out of the corner of my eye. But here's, like I said, just some other footage coming from that latest attack in Rybinsk in the Yaroslavl region in Russia. And if I can, let me see if I'll take a couple of these things off. Right, let me pause that, take this off, and we can just take a quick look at where Rybinsk is on the map inside of Russia. And let me just see if I can close a couple things out here so it doesn't slow down. Sometimes Google Earth takes a lot out of you. Takes a lot out of the system there, Chief. But while I do that, I can throw this on the screen too. I'm going to throw this up there, bring this over for you guys to see. Because this is Maxim Kalishnikov, right? And we've referenced his work. He is a Russian blogger, Russian military blogger, military analyst, whatever you want to call them, that has been obviously closely following what's been going on. So before I dive into where Yaroslavl is, as far as in the regions of Russia, I figure we could dive into this too, because this is posted on Telegram, Russian Telegram, on Maxim's Telegram channel. And listen to what he's saying here, right? So we're talking about this portion right here. You can't see my mouse, but maybe I can highlight it there. I'll highlight this. Yeah, this is what we're looking at right here. Okay, so he says, Platon Besedin reports from Sevastopol. He says, he talks about how the vile, quote, security forces, not to be confused with Russian patriots, are trying to suppress anyone who speaks out about the real problems of Crimea. Right. So again, anybody much like Maxim here, who over at least the last period of time has been more willing to call out the problems, more willing to call out the inefficiencies, let's just say the failures of the Russian military and the leadership. So he's talking about how they're trying to quell people inside of Crimea from talking about the actual realities of the situation. But he goes on, he says, which is being cut off from the rest of the Russian Federation by drone strikes from the Magyar Luftwaffe. So that's obviously his little nickname that he's given Magyar's birds, or the unmanned systems forces of Ukraine. They're destroying bridges in the north of the peninsula, hunting trains, creating a fuel crisis, which we continue to talk about. He says, I agree with Besedin. There's nothing worse than accommodating yes men. We need to solve problems with the main enemy, not sling mud at the people of Sevastopol and Crimea in general. The problem is that Russia lacks medium-class drones to cripple the Ukrainian armed forces' logistics. Okay, I think that's a very telling statement for a Russian military analyst, a Russian military blogger, to be stating about his own side, about his own military. He says, and I'll repeat, he says that they do not have the, now where'd I miss that? It says Russia lacks medium-class drones to cripple the Ukrainian armed forces' logistics, nor a fully fledged unmanned systems force, nor a fully fledged air force capable of suppressing enemy air defenses and paralyzing their rear, including the central control and leadership centers, the settlements of the local elite, their ministries and headquarters, the national bank, the major banks, bridges and railway junctions, communications and internet hubs. So all of those things he's saying are being left unguarded. They do not have the air defense systems in place. They do not have the numbers of air defense systems to make sure that all of those things are protected. They don't have the drone forces. They don't have, and he goes through a bunch of them. He doesn't have the fully fledged Air Force, he says. He doesn't have the fully fledged unmanned systems forces. He doesn't have anything that could cripple, especially medium class drones, the Ukrainian armed forces logistics, again, of them attacking the supply chain going into Crimea. Right. So this is pretty telling as far as coming from a Russian mill blogger. I know this might be, not news to you, and it might be, something that you guys have recognized or seen from our reporting here at Blunt Politics. But for them to be recognizing that about their own side, I think is pretty substantial. Again, let me know if you think differently in the chat here. But he goes on to say, victory won't be achieved by blithely blathering on about being on the offensive everywhere. On the contrary, the prospect of Russia's collapse in a war of attrition is increasingly looming, including as a result of the drone war on oil refineries, oil export terminals, and transport links in critical important regions. The moment of truth has arrived. Security is useless. Again, from the Russian side, not me, not pro-Ukrainian Brian, right? Not Blunt Politics here. That is extremely supportive and very passionate about their support of the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian military. Russian military analyst, Russian military blogger, Maxim Kalishnikov, that's what he said. And I repeat, the moment of truth has arrived. Security is useless. Says victory won't be achieved by blathering on about being on the offensive everywhere. The prospect of Russia's collapse in a war of attrition is increasingly looming, including as a result of the drone war on oil refineries, oil export terminals, and transport links in critical, important regions, much like Crimea, which we've talked about 1,000 times already. So, and there was even this thing that he said, I believe this is from a different post, where he says, now more and more smart people are saying that the war is taking a turn for the worse for us. From Alexander Velechnikov to Sergei Petalinskin, will escalation help us? Will we be able to scare the living daylights out of Europe? ? So again, these aren't very confident questions that he's asking. This doesn't show me a very confident person that's confident in the military capabilities or the direction that this war is going. And again, in a lot of cases, you will not have the truth. You will not have the honesty of that much to like coming from the Russian mill bloggers, right? I mean, we've talked about this time and time again, how they're most likely to do the propaganda. And again, I reiterate that people like Maxim there do absolutely have connections to people on the front, do absolutely have connections to high profile and powerful people within the Russian military hierarchy, obviously within the government, that can tell them exactly what's going on the front. So it's not like he doesn't have a clear indication or a clear picture of what's taking place, because he absolutely does. But all right, let's see if I can dive into this. I'll show you real quick where this is on the map. This is where we're talking about. Sorry about the little lagginess. Like I said, Google Maps kind of takes a lot out of the old system. Let's see. I'll take a little bit more of these off. Take some other things. Yep. Take that off. Take that off. Take that off. All right. We back. We back. Come on. Pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up. All right. So this is where we're looking at. I just want to show you real quick on the map where we're talking about. Because, again, another substantial strike well behind enemy lines. And we're not just talking about into occupied Ukraine. We're talking about substantially into Russia. So, obviously, you can see down here the border of Ukraine. We can take a little ruler here and we can just draw, let's just say from Kyiv, right? We'll go from Kyiv, if it's going to allow me. Kyiv to, yeah, I'm trying to add my first point. The first point is Kyiv. Let me add the first point. For crying out loud. I know it takes up a lot of the system, but can't take up that much for crying out loud. All right, let me take this off again. Take that one off. We'll take off the, maybe the Telegram's doing it too. We don't need that anymore. I'm just trying to show the people what the distance is. All right, I'm taking it off. Now we're going back. We're going back. We'll try this again. Kyiv. Nope, not going to let me do it. Not going to let me do it. But I think it's about 1,000 kilometers or something around, what is that, 600 or something miles, if I'm not mistaken. But again, you can see there is the actual point of where that oil refinery is struck. And I think if you actually zoom in, you could probably even see the oil refinery itself. I believe it's down here in the southern portion, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think this is it right here. You can just make out the tanks. So don't quote me on this. I don't know if there's more than one in this general vicinity, but that was the one that I saw that stuck out to me as far as what definitely looked to be oil tanks that were struck as well. But again, I don't see too much else as far as that's concerned. So that's going to be my guess, people. That's going to be my guess. Is this is where the strikes were likely to have taken place, is on these tanks or somewhere else. These tanks around here you can see as well. Looks like a lot of them are rusted out. Maybe these ones aren't even in use anymore. Those look rusted to shit, if you ask me. But anyway, let's see if we can learn more a little bit about this strike too. I'm going to put this on. This is from The Sun. And I'll let this play in the background because I don't think there's actually any commentary on this. I think it's just some footage. So I'm just going to let this play in the background as we kind of take a look at some different pieces of footage coming from Telegram, different places on social media posted by people in the area. But you can definitely see a very substantial strike. And whether or not this is put out for 2 days, 3 days, a week, like that's substantial and continues to add to the amount of destruction and disruption that the Russians have been facing. Again, with and this says here, one of Russia's largest oil fuel storage facilities was engulfed by a raging inferno after Ukrainian attack, which you're watching right now. Ukrainian drone going in slow and steady, making its way to the target. As you can see, it says Rybinsk in Yaroslav is 196 miles north of Moscow, was set ablaze with multiple tanks exploding. Look at that, just slow and steady on its way. And I'm sure, I don't know if they have sound on it, but you could probably play their music, but you can hear probably the crackling of the air defenses in place, which is probably just a couple Ivans with a couple AK-47s or an AK-74 if they're lucky. Other than that, it didn't look like they had too much success in taking these drones down, right? So again, you can see that flying in what looks to be already successful strikes in the region there. Let's see if there's anything else. This was due to Ukrainian strikes. Russia is already suffering chronic shortages of petrol and diesel, with rationing in some places, as we talked about. Let's see if there's any other footage here. I think this is from different strikes, some other strikes there that the Ukrainians were responsible for overnight as well, which I have. We could take a look at in this too, because I did have the professor just real quick, if we could throw this on your screen, because he's talking about just a couple of the updates from overnight as well. I'm sure he's including that Yaroslavl attack, as you can see in the background. But let's just see if there was any other successes by the Ukrainian military. Again, this is Professor. Take it away, Professor. He says, Ukraine had a great night, he says, is the title of this one.
It's Sunday, June 14th, 2026, and Ukraine just keeps striking Russia. If the Russians weren't doing such horrible things to Ukraine, I'd almost feel bad for them. That's how devastating today, or day over day, has been the last week, the last month. It's just been ongoing. It's pretty crazy to watch. They struck another major refinery and other targets. I'll show you that. Let's start with this overnight strike. So here is drone bombers map. 300 drones, roughly 3 times what the Russians were sending into Ukraine last night. So, okay, here's drone bomber. Again, 300 drones. And what were they hitting? Ukraine's drones targeted the Rozhrev fuel storage facility in Yaroslav Oblast, 700 kilometers from the front lines. Here's some imagery of this, the fire that's going on. I'll show you actually a strike in just a moment. The state agency hoarded untouchable fuel for wartime emergencies, and this was the second time in 6 months that drones found it. 700 kilometers from the border again. The same night, Azot chemical plant in Tula Oblast caught.
So again, like I know we're quickly running out of time, so I'll take over real quick, just reading. It says the state agency hoarding untouchable fuel for wartime emergencies in this war. And this was the second time in 6 months that drones found it. 700 kilometers from Ukraine's border. That same night, the Azot chemical plant in Tula Oblast caught fire too. Tula's governor tried to write off the blast as just debris hitting an unarmed industrial enterprise. NASA's thermal monitoring disagreed. It detected the heat anomaly directly at the Azot facility at 3:09. President Zelensky of Ukraine went on to confirm both strikes, calling them long-range sanctions against Russia's refusal to end the war. And I just want to see, I'll go past that real quick so we don't double up.
It's on the refinery.
This also says that Ukraine's SSO struck the Palkino oil pumping station in Russia's Yaroslavl region, targeting key elements of enemy oil transport infrastructure. The station is important part of the Surgutpolotsk main pipeline, which transports crude oil from Siberia onward toward Russian refineries and export terminals. Let's see if there's another one here that he pulled up real quick. I think there was also this one. Yeah, Kyiv also targeted Russian military logistics in occupied Ukrainian territory, continuing its campaign to disrupt Moscow's ability to sustain the war. And there was some footage coming from that. I'm not sure if he plays
Kyiv
it.
also targeted Russian military logistics in occupied Ukrainian territory, continuing its campaign to disrupt Moscow's ability to sustain the war. Here's drone coming in. Let's look at this. And look what it's coming into. It's coming into something that's already been hit multiple times. So you're not going to see it, but you hear it and you see it.
You hear the bang, right? And obviously the, what was the lack of Russian air defenses in place just kind of seemed to be a bunch of small arms trying to shoot down that drone. Obviously it was unsuccessful as it was in previous attempts, because you can obviously see the smoke that was obviously billowing up there before that second drone, or whatever number drone strike that was, actually took impact there. But there was a few more of them as well, talking about facts about Yaroslavl, how much it produces. So it was, like I said, as he produces here, or as he says here, he states here, as far as the title of this video, it was another great night for the Ukrainian armed forces, and specifically their medium and long range attacks, and obviously their drone, their unmanned drone systems had another pretty substantial night, as well, as you can tell by the fuel and vehicles, the trucks that were taken out, as reported there by the Kyiv Independent. But unfortunately, we're run out of time today. I'm going to let you guys go, but not until we thank everybody that contributed to this show, as you guys always do. At the end of every podcast, we like to congratulate, thank, appreciate everybody that kicked in a buck or two, either reached a milestone, joined as a member here on YouTube. At the end of every show, we do that. So if, again, you do throw something in the chat and I miss it, stick around to the end of the show, and we make sure to go through all of them and say thank you. And like I said, congratulate and appreciate everybody for their kind contributions to the channel. Another great show. But like I say, I'm always biased about that because it's got my name on it. So you guys let me know in the chat how you think I did. If you need, if you think we have any areas to improve upon, if you like things that we're doing and you'd like to continue doing those things, let us know in the chat as you're sharing this out on your social media platforms. But let's see if we can get into Venmo. I don't know why for some reason it's not letting me in. Come on, Van. Oh, there you are. There you are. All right, so let's thank everybody that was nice enough to send over a buck or two. First up today, it's going to be Roger. Thank you so much, Roger. Appreciate you and Karen for everything you do for this show. Very much appreciate seeing you guys in the chat, and obviously very much appreciate the kind contributions from both of you guys. Thank you so much to Allison as well. Allison says, let's fucking go, as she throws in a $7 chat there, a $7 payment to the old Venmo. Thank you so much, Allison. Very much appreciated. Thank you for being part of the chat there. Thank you for being part of the community. Thank you to Brian as well. Bry Guy, BH there in the chat. Very much appreciated for you. He said the hat arrived, and thank you. It's perfect. Between your hat and Stephanie Miller's pin, I'm covered. Slava Ukraini. Well, again, if you can send in a picture, if you can email in a picture of you in the hat, that would be fantastic. I always love to see people repping the merch that you guys got. So thank you so much for, again, frequenting the Blunt Politics merch shop at bostonbrian.com and grabbing a hat. You too can go there, just like Brian. And again, I didn't set this up. I'm not talking about myself. It is, again, Brian H. in the chat. Very much appreciate you. But you guys can go grab t-shirts, sweatshirts, stickers, mugs. Doesn't necessarily have to say Blunt Politics or Boston Brian. A lot of them just showing you, or showing everybody else, I should say, what side of history you're on. Appreciation for, humanity, appreciation for equality, just letting people know that you're on the opposition, you're part of the opposition, you're part of the resistance. So again, a lot of great stuff on there, and I appreciate you guys for checking that out. Thank you to Nina. Very much appreciate you, Nina C. Thank you so much. You say you're worth more than this, but it's all I can spare. And again, nobody ever apologized for not being able to contribute. No, nobody ever apologized for not being able to contribute more. Anything that comes in, $1, 50 cents, 25 cents is appreciated. It is recognized, and it is very substantial to helping these shows and this show and shows like it. So namaste. Don't think for a second that you're not contributing or doing enough, because you absolutely are. So thank you so much to you. And then thank you so much to Bry Guy again over the last couple days. Very much appreciate you. Jenny Faye, MR, Damon, Nancy, like I'd like to do. Yakov, thank you so much, brother, for all your help down there. Who else over the last couple days? Let's see here. A lot of the same names. I like it. Peter, thank you so much. Jim, Belinda, all of you guys for taking the time out. Again, you can take a picture of the QR code up here. Takes you right to the Venmo. $1 or $2 is all we ask for. Again, we don't take anything from sponsors. There are no financial backers sponsoring the show and telling me what I can and cannot say. Everything is done from the ground up with your help and your support. So I'd really, truly do appreciate it. All right, let's get into thanking some people here on YouTube. First up today is going to be Frida Love becoming a new YouTube member. Let's go, Frida. Thank you so much. Appreciate you and your cute little pups there for becoming a new YouTube member. Hope you find a nice, welcoming community there. And thank you so much for your participation. Very much appreciate the backbone of the community being the YouTube memberships, the Patreons, people that are consistently contributing. I love you. I appreciate you, and I respect you. So thank you, Frida. Thank you so much, moms, for your weekly tithing. Love to you, Brian, and the Tologist. Thank you so much, moms. Hope you're well. Thank you so much for everything that you do, both fighting for democracy inside of this chat and outside of this chat. We appreciate you. We respect you. And again, we love you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much to Luis. Appreciate seeing you here, brother. As always, I just got off work because it's the first time I remember that you didn't curse on Housebox Radio show yesterday. Please curse all you want today. Well, I'm glad somebody recognized that. I'm telling you, I was sweating bullets. Luckily, it started a little bit late and I had some link malfunction. So it kind of cut down my time of having to dodge the swear words. Again, being on radio, dealing with the FCC, I'm sure, it's something that I'm very grateful and appreciative to Hal and Andrea and all of, Chicago and everybody else for allowing me and affording me the opportunity and putting the trust inside me that I could sit next to Hal for 2 hours without dropping an F-bomb or saying shit or something like that. So, Louise, thank you so much for noticing. And I did make it through. Possibly because you couldn't hear me half the time, but I'll take it where I can get it, right? But thank you so much, Luis. I appreciate you, brother. That's hilarious. Thank you so much, Frank. Fuba Sunday. Yep. It has been fucked up beyond all recognition. I can assure you, not just today, but all 7 days a week, all 12 months out of the year, all 365 days and any day that Donald Trump's been involved in our politics. It has been Fuba. So thank you, Frank. Much appreciated, my brother. Thank you so much to Abby. Oh, thank you, Abby, for the 100. Let's go. I appreciate that for the Corona. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Abby, and your precious little kitty. Is that AI? I'm not sure. Unless you were just really well trained to be able to get a pair of glasses, reading glasses at that on your cat. I'd be scared to do that. Them bastards are quick. They're quick and they got claws and shit. So thank you so much, Abby, for watching wherever you're watching. And thank you for supporting. And thank you so much for the 100 Swedish kroner, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure how much the conversion is, but it doesn't matter. We appreciate you and we love you all the more for it. Thank you so much to Nina. Did Biden shit in Trump's diaper again? What? Did Biden shit in Trump's diaper again? I don't know. That's a disgusting thought, though. That's not the visual I wanted to leave with. Good job, Ninang. What's happening? Good Lord. But no, I appreciate you. I'm only kidding. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that Donald Trump's diaper is soiled for one reason or another. I'm just not sure if it's that reason. But thank you. I appreciate you so much in the chat. Keeping it lively, at least. Thank you so much to Ricky for the 5 gifted memberships. Very much appreciate you for all of your contributions. Thank you so much. And give your dog a treat for me and a nice little belly rub if you could. Thank you, Ricky, as an alarm goes off in the background. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but thank you so much to Frank. Duncan time. Not a big Donkeys fan. As a matter of fact, I can't fucking stand it. But again, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It'll go towards a Powerade or a Gatorade or something along those lines. But I understand the sentiment. Don't tell anybody or I'm going to get my New England card revoked. Can't stand it. Rubber food ain't for me. Ain't for me, brother. And I don't drink coffee. That's another big reason, right? I mean, it's just I'm not a big coffee guy at all, so I'm not really drawn into that. So appreciate you, though, Frank, for all your contributions. I appreciate you being here, my man. Big salute to you. Big salute to Bicycle Mike as well. I'm home from camping. Let's go, brother. FDJT, F Cancer. I second that. Thank you for being here for 22 months. Hope you had a good time camping, and absolutely I second all of those motions at the end of that as well. So Bicycle Mike, appreciate you for being here. There's Bry Guy. What's up, brother? Thanks for the hat. I love it. Posted it to Blue Sky. All right, cool. Appreciate it. I'll check that out after the show. Much appreciated for your 1 month of membership. Thank you so much for your help and your support with the merch shop. And thank you so much for posting it as well. Very much appreciate that. Thank you, Bicycle Mike. Again, no kings. A fucking men to that. Thank you, Jim. 25 months, Ben here. Let's go, brother. Thank you for keeping it real every week. And again, some appreciation for the mods. No, thank you, Jim. You've been here for a long, long time supporting this channel, and we appreciate you a hell of a lot for it. So thank you for the recognition, but right back at you, my friend, for making it possible that we get to this point. So thank you, Jim, for the 25 months of contributions. Thank you, Jim, again for the $2 chat here. Kiev Totobinsk is 1,310 kilometers driving this. Thank you so much, Jim. Appreciate that. Like I said, I think I had too many tabs pulled up for Google Earth to react as quick as I wanted to react. So appreciate you for having my back there. Thank you so much to Berkeley. Let's go, brother. Always good to see you. Hey, B, I'm in San Francisco getting ready to drive back to Sacramento. Just started the playback, so you'll guide me all the way home. Well, that's awesome. Appreciate that. Eyes on the road, though. Eyes on the road. Hopefully you're not either laughing too hard or too pissed off by anything that's been reported on today. But like I said, hopefully you drive safe travels. Hopefully you get there in no time at all. And thank you so much for joining the chat. Thank you so much for listening. Really do appreciate that. Another longtime listener of the show, another longtime friend on the old political side of social media. So big shout out to Berkeley. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much, JD, as well. Happy Flag Day, FDJ, F Donald Trump. Much appreciated, my friend. Thank you for the $13 going right in the swear jar. Like I said, I waited till today to get them all out. Anything that I kind of had in my holster yesterday during Hal Sparks' show, I had to release today. So appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here. As always, JD. Thank you so much, William, as well, for the $2 contribution. Hope you have a wonderful day, dude. Thank you so much to Jennifer. Thank you so much, Jen. Wanted to throw you a shoe during that Musk rant. So on point. Thanks, Boston Brian, for saving my Sunday. Thank you so much for watching, Jennifer. I really do appreciate it. It really means a lot, and it goes to, really a long way to help with the old algorithm. People contributing obviously just shows that, the YouTube algorithm and Twitch and Facebook and all these other platforms that you like what you're watching, you're engaged with what you're watching, and that it should probably be shown to more people. So thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much, DPD. Let's go. Appreciate you as always. DPD says, excuse me. I don't know how we can say we live in a civilized society when the president has been accused of SA and mutilation. It makes me feel unclean, sad, and angry. How about you? We must do better and require accountability. Couldn't have said it better myself, DPD. Couldn't have said it better myself. I think that accurately depicts the frustration and anger of a lot of the people, especially here in this chat. And like I said, I'm right there with you. I think you guys can see that in the frustrations and the way that we cover and talk about these things, and the plight of the American people, and how it just seems to keep getting worse as far as health and wealth inequality. So that's something that we've consistently been fighting for here. So DPD, absolutely, I second that, and thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Appreciate you for being here as always. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you. Oh, choir boy, that's something that I've never gotten. I can tell you that much. Never in my life have I gotten a choir boy bonus. I can assure you. I think my mom and dad would attest. But thank you, JD. There's got to be a first for everything, right? Appreciate that. Hope you're having a wonderful day, my dude. Appreciate you for being here. Thank you, Tiff. Oh, my goodness. Let's go. Monday Night Zoom tomorrow. Join us. Love you, Bride. Thank you so much. Right back at you, Tiff. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for this channel. Thank you for being a member. Thank you for keeping that chat a safe place with all of the other mods that we have. Alyosha over there on Twitch. Thank you to everybody that helps share out the show. Andrea, all of you fantastic people. Rocks, Adam. Thank you to Adam for all you do. Thank you to Mark. Thank you to Elizabeth. Thank you to Jenny. Thank you to Jen. I'm missing a bunch of people here, and I'm sorry, but all of you guys that help make this show possible, I really do appreciate it. And especially you, Tiff. Thank you so much. And in case you're not aware, if you signed up at patreon.com/BostonBrian at any one of the 3 tiers, that gets you access to the monthly Zoom meetings that we have every single night, where it's just kind of a Boston Brian hangout. We can talk about politics, we can talk about sports, we can talk about your pets, the weather, whatever it is. It's just an easier way, a better way to kind of put faces behind the screen names that you guys engage with every single show in the chat. And like I said, just a better way to communicate, and a more a more intimate gathering, if you will, every single Monday. Each Monday kind of associates with a different group on the Patreon, so make sure you're recognizing and seeing kind of what dates go to what. That's also posted on bostonbrian.com, all of the Zoom dates, all of my social media links. Please check out the Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, We're over 20K on Instagram. We're trying to get to, I believe, 10K on Facebook. We're over 245,000 on TikTok. Twitter is about 20,000. So we're trying to utilize anything and everything we possibly can to spread the word. So if you guys could help me do that, that would be fantastic. So thank you so much to Tiff. Thank you so much to Yakov, you guys, both of you. Thank you so much for everything that you do. We are not mad enough, says Yakov, another great member of the chat down there, a great member of the mod squad. So a big salute to Yakov for everything that you do as well down there. Like I said, I hope you're feeling better, and appreciate you being here. And like you said, we're not mad enough in this country. You're 100% right. 100% right. So thank you so much to you and Jeff rounding it out today. No tax on this tip. Lunch next week sometime. Absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt. No doubt. So appreciate you. Let me know when you'll be around and we'll make that happen. And thank you guys so much to everybody in the chat. Like I said, you guys are the most fantastic chat on the internet, most fantastic chat on social media, the most supportive, the most engaging, the most passionate, the most aggressive. And I am just so blessed to have found you guys, or vice versa, for you guys to have found me. And thank you so much for building upon the community that we originally started. So love you guys. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to everybody supportive of this channel, whether it be friends, family, co-workers, whatever it may be. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. And please make sure you hit that like button on the way out. My name is Brian. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. Get the fuck out of your seat and into the streets, because we are not mad enough in this country. You are not pissed off enough about what's taking place, about why your life has become so difficult to live and so expensive to live, and access to healthcare is almost impossible at this fucking point if you're not a billionaire. So you're not mad enough. We're not angry enough. We're not protesting enough. We're not standing up enough. We're not speaking out enough. And we're just trying to change that one show at a time here on Blunt Politics. So again, big salute to you guys for everything that you continue to do. I love you. I appreciate you. It wasn't rigged. You're just a loser, you maggots. All right. I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow. What's today? Sunday? No, I won't see you tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow for the Patreon Zoom. And like I said, if anything breaking news wise happens, I'll pop on. But if not, I'll catch you Tuesday for the Tuesday show. That's going to be 2 o'clock here on the East Coast, 11 a.m. on the West Coast, somewhere in between that, depending on where you live. So make sure you just hit that notification bell. That'll alert you, or at least it should alert you to whenever we go live, put out shorts, put out videos, anything like that. Please make sure you're going to the YouTube page after this, liking the stream after it posts, maybe leave a comment on it after it posts. And like I said, I appreciate if you go in and share out the shorts and all of the different ways to kind of boost this platform, boost this channel. So, all right, that's my plea for the day. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you to the mods as always. And I'll let you guys go to, go support some other independent creators for the rest of the day. Tell them that I sent you. Mention the name. Mention Blunt Politics in Boston Brian in the chat if you could. All right, but don't make it too overpowering. All right, I love you guys. I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow. Can I just pop back on for 1 second? Can I show you guys the absurdity, right? Because I was just checking to see if there was any updates with the Iran situation, right? Just because, I know we were on live here for a couple hours and a lot of changes, but look at the absurdity of like what is being reported on this, okay? So this is OSINT Technical. The U.S. reportedly offered Iran additional economic concessions in exchange for not attacking Israel over today's Beirut strikes, but Iran reportedly refused. Israel assesses Iran will attack Israel despite Trump's attempt to restrain Tehran. Okay, that's one piece of news coming out. So that basically says that a deal is nowhere near close and is definitely not likely to happen today. And it's more likely we're going to see more bombs and missiles being shot, right? Even Mark Levin talking about here, this bastard, this Fox News dickhead. Here, he even says he had to read this twice, talking about Donald Trump's post this morning about the attacks on Beirut, right? Here's the Hormuz letter. It says Iran rejects Trump's new claims to Axios that a deal will be signed within the next few hours, calling it, quote, out of touch with reality, given that nothing has been finalized and no agreements exist, especially after today's Israeli strike on Beirut. Right. So it seems like Donald Trump still trying to get everybody to believe that a deal is right around the corner. It's going to be signed in the next few hours. The Iranian side saying, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, as long as Israel's bombing Lebanon, I told you we're not going to sit down for shit. Not to mention that even behind those scenes, nothing's been finalized. So what you're talking about, we don't know, and it's out of touch with reality. This is posted by BRICS. This says that Iran confirms it will not sign a deal with the U.S. today. Right. So that's another piece of reporting coming from the Iranian side to stipulate we're not likely to see anything. Here's Trey Yingst 3 hours ago. So this is all from, right around the same time. BRICS News 3 hours ago. Trey Yingst 3 hours ago. He reports, spoke with President Trump. He says the deal with Iran is expected to be signed in the next 2 to 3 hours. President Trump said he asked Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, what the fuck are you doing, on a phone call after the Israeli strikes on Beirut. He told Netanyahu not to conduct additional strikes. The president told me he will ask Iran not to respond with the missile fire towards Israel. Okay, so that's like 17 different things there just reported in like about 3 posts. That's how like erratic it is. Because you're talking about Trey Yingst speaking with Donald Trump, just repeating his bullshit. Here's Cat Turd, repeating what BRICS is posting. And then you get the Hormuz letter saying what Iran is posting. And then you got Mark Levin talking about what Donald Trump is posting. OSIN Technical saying basically they said the fucking United States can pound sand and they told us to be restrained. But no, we're not going to be restrained because we told Israel if they keep fucking around, they're going to find out. You know what I mean? So it's just like, that's the craziness. I just thought, fill you guys in on what's been going on. I just wanted to see if there was any, like I said, live updates, anything to bring you before I actually signed off here. But it's now being reported that this "what the fuck are you doing" is, something that Donald Trump said to Benjamin Netanyahu per his attacks this morning. Midas Touch post, Trump trying to pay off Iran not to attack Israel, from a Fatux network posting where it says the U.S. is offering Iran economic benefit in exchange not to respond to Israel's attack in Beirut. So again, cash, cash being exchanged, cold hard cash, as Donald Trump said time and time again, wouldn't be exchanged. Now they're just offering it up, seems like daily at this point. Here's Drop Site reporting a little bit more on those strikes. Here's Israeli strike on Beirut threatens U.S.-Iran deal. Here's what happened today. Israel strikes Dahia. Israel struck an apartment building in Dahia, Beirut's southern suburbs, on Sunday, killing 3 people, including 2 women, wounded 16, Lebanon Health Ministry said. Press TV correspondent Heidi Hotet reported on those killed were a family, a father, a mother, and their daughter, describing the father as a Hezbollah figure whose role was communications with the Lebanese state and other parties. The IDF claimed it had hit Hezbollah command center in retaliation for 3 projectiles fired into northern Israel earlier in the day. The Lebanese ministry said Israel's campaign has now killed 3,783 people since March 2nd. And then there's just some footage coming in that I believe we looked at earlier today, talking about and looking at those strikes. So again, just wanted to bring you guys the latest of what's going on. Seems like that is the latest as far as I can see. The back and forth between Trump trying to stop the war from escalating between Israel and Iran, trying to reel in Netanyahu while also saying that a deal is in place, while Iran says a deal is not in place or being finalized today, while Donald Trump says that it is being finalized and done today. So we'll just have to wait and see. All right. But I'm out of here. I appreciate you guys. I think that's enough bullshit for one day. But I thank you guys for putting up with it. And like I said, if there's anything breaking news-wise to cover, I'll pop back on and bring that to you guys live. But until then, enjoy the rest of your day. I appreciate you. I love you. I respect you. And thank you for everything you do for this channel. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Zoom, if not Tuesday for the next show. All right, guys. Thank you. I don't know how to take that, Frank. I don't know how to take that. One thing I've never been good at is shutting up. So if anything should be good is my lung capacity. But you never know. Head over to Help 99, guys. If you got a $5, a $10, anything to kick into that campaign, that would be fantastic. If not, you can just share it out on social media. That would go just as long of a way to help out that campaign. So thank you, guys. Everybody's giggling now, huh? Everybody laughing at Brian because he doesn't shut up.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Miners. Do we love miners? I love miners.
We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
Call them dumps, big massive dumps.
The water coming here is dead. The water coming here is dead. They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated? You're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
You know, he wanted to debate. If we didn't have a debate, he'd still be there. Can you imagine if we didn't have a debate? Why the hell did I debate him?
Never fight uphill, me boys. Never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
For the rest of my life, I have the curse that I have little hands. Little hands. Refer to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
He says, wrecked him, damn near killed him.
You know what uranium is, right? This thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things. Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Tell the director to call the White House. Do your fucking job!
Our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
Go fuck yourself.
He's always calling me Little Marco. And I'll admit that he's taller than me, he's like 6'2", which is why I don't understand why his hands are the size of someone who's 5'2".
You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it very well.
Go fuck yourself.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
To officially name the undisputed. When did this come out?
They said, is that a Trump statement or is that real?
My superpower's being honest. I will eat my neighbors.
Is there anything worse than white people? White people are a mortal danger to you and your loved ones.
Oh, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. The big, fat, sloppy